Felina mai kako. Welcome to Keep It Aloha, a podcast that keeps aloha by serving the community long after the cameras leave. I'm your host, Kamaka, and our guest today embodies aloha in so many ways, and I think he is a real-life superhero. But before we introduce him, I gotta remind you about this month's giveaway ending in a couple of days. If you didn't already know, here on the Keep It Aloha podcast, we give away $500 or more in prizes every single week, all of 2026. But this month, we teamed up with Aloha Card Shop, Aloha Pacific Credit Union, to give you 2 premium World Cup tickets to the USA and Australia game in Seattle, 2 round-trip coach tickets to Seattle, and a $2,500 gift card. Insane giveaway. To enter, all you have to do is head to our Instagram and find the giveaway post pinned to our profile. The full details will be in the description. I'll be pulling the winners on Wednesday, June 3rd, so make sure you get your entries in. For an extra 10 entries, email nicole@keepitaloha.com the secret word / phrase from this episode, as well as how you keep it aloha. And as always, the prizes and entry instructions can change every week. So make sure you're following us and listening to the full episodes so you never miss a chance to win. Good luck and enjoy this episode. All right, let's introduce our guest.
After 175 years, some people still think we're just a ranch.
And we just farm all day.
What they don't realize is we wear many hats. And that's just how we roll.
You just might see some old friends.
Or make some new ones.
So come hang with us
Drive on out to the country.
and get that epic snap.
No matter what you're looking for, come discover where legends are made.
Our guest today is a community leader from the island of Oahu. This real-life superhero is someone who wears a lot of hats for his community. He is a North Shore lifeguard, big wave surfer, former University of Hawaiʻi football player, kalo farmer, and the founder of Lau Lau Solutions, a nonprofit taro farm rooted in sustainability, Hawaiian values, and feeding the community. What started during the pandemic as making lau lau for local families eventually turned into a movement focused on health, culture, mentorship, and aloha aina. Most recently, when the devastating floods hit Waialua, he was one of the people on the ground helping his community navigate the damage and rebuild. This father and husband is an inspiration to us and embodies aloha in every way you could imagine. I am so stoked to talk stories with him today. He is Joey Cadiz. Aloha, Joey. Welcome to the Keep It Aloha podcast. How you doing?
Hey, aloha, kamaka, mahalo for having me.
Of course. So stoked you're here. I'm sitting in front of a real-life superhero. This is crazy. Sorry, I just need to quench my thirst with some Hard as Hawaii. Available now on hardershawaii.com. Use code Keep It Aloha for 20% off. And free shipping. I wasn't planning that, but as you guys could hear, my I guess throat was getting a little hoarse. I think that's the words I needed to actually have a sip of.
There you go.
Harders. Anyways, this isn't about that. We're here to talk about you and learn about your whole life story. I first saw you during the pandemic because I was also doing some crazy, things, trying to pay off my student loans around that time. And while, everything shut down, people were, thinking of creative solutions to things, whether that was, starting a business and making money or trying to feed the community, just like you. So that was the first time I saw you. And then I, just with social media, the Eddie and this lifeguarding, all the awesome things that you've been doing, you've been popping up a lot. And then most recently doing the floods just a month ago, you were, one of the main leaders. So first off, before we get into it, I just want to mahalo you and, give you and all the other alaka'i over there, all over the sides of the islands, my respect and aloha, because without you and the other people, I don't think we would have been able to, get back on our feet or begin, this rebuilding as fast as we probably did, because the government's a little slow on some stuff. So shout out to you and all the other alaka'i. You guys are awesome.
Mahalo, and thank you for highlighting that. It was not a one-person team. It was a collective effort, and I think that's what also makes this also special, is all the aloha that you could feel in that effort all together, aligning together, really made you kind of feel like back when we were at Mauna Kea, that similar type of atmosphere of people looking after one another. And it was just a beautiful experience, as devastating as it all was. For everybody to come together in this way really shows the true colors of Hawaii. So
Yeah, I love it. I mean, usually during something devastating, there's a silver lining where, you'd see their people banding together and helping out. And it sucks that most times it takes something like that for us to come together, right? Put aside our differences, just cool however we can. But it is a beautiful thing about Hawaii that, I love. Before we get into all of that, which I'm sure we will, we'll talk about, the last month. I know it's been so hectic for you. I just want to start at the beginning and just get to know your whole life story. Where are you from? Where you grad? And what was it like growing up?
So I guess technically I'm from Milani. Currently, I like to say I live on the North Shore, but I sleep in Milani. Pretty much just because everything that I do is associated with the North Shore, whether it's lifeguarding or at the Kalo Patch. But yeah, so I grew up in Milani. I was an athlete growing up my whole life. Soccer, football, track, paddling, anything I could possibly do. And then on top of that, beyond what I was able to do interscholastically at school, surfing wasn't a high school sport at the time, but I had always kind of surfed and enjoyed the ocean in all different facets, whether it was diving, laying net, fishing, all other parts of the ocean. So thankfully, my family, my parents were the type of people we were very active, whether we were at sports practices or at the beach, we were always doing something. And that's kind of how I've grown up, I'd say. I went to Milani High School, graduated from there, and I did a semester in Humboldt. I actually went to California to try and play football there while attempting to do a fire science program. It wasn't a good fit for me. I did not like being away from home. Pretty typical local boy, just everything that I knew was Hawaii. So I wanted to be home, and also playing football at that time. That was 2007, the Colt Brennan era, and everything of Hawaii really being put on the map at that time, and just how exciting that was to watch that season unfold, and knew that I wanted to push myself that far, and thought that I could. So I transferred back to the University of Hawaiʻi and walked on and ended up playing and having an unbelievable time out there. And yeah, that's kind of how it went.
Yeah. So did you play all 4 years at the university? Or,
So-
sorry, 3 years.
It would technically be 4 years because I redshirted when I was in California. So yeah, I was there, finished in 2011. Started working for Hawaii Tourism Authority, a branch of Hawaii Tourism Authority, NAHA, which is the Native Hawaiian Hospitality Association. Did that and personal training for maybe a year or two. I did not like being in an office, although we were in charge of essentially teaching culture, Hawaiian culture, to the upper management of each hotel in the entire state. Which is right in line with what I had graduated with a Hawaiian Studies degree. But my passion was really about health and wellness. And having been a personal trainer, I saw that I was able to help people individually, but I wanted to help Hawaii in large in population. So I decided to go back to UH to do a master's in public health. And pretty much from there has led me to lifeguarding in a kind of weird way, which I essentially see lifeguarding as public health and public safety, just in a very direct way. But a lot of times the things that you see from public health come from a very broad, behind the scenes type work, whether it's legislation or creating different programs and those kinds of things. So that's essentially what I am doing with the farm. That's my other version of public health, is seeing how I can approach health in a real hands-on way for people to get back into Aina, to have a relationship with kalo, and to really just reinvigorate their relationship with food in general. to help create better outcomes for them and their families.
Oh, you're a great role model for local people, local boys specifically. You're doing what you love, and, you're taking your passion and making it into a business and something sustainable. You work in the aina, you know all about sustainability, and it's so important in, business as well, and life, and with all your other relationships. So it's so cool that you're able to, take all your interest for, being outside, basically, being in the aina, health, fitness, helping others. Like, do you think you're doing what you're supposed to be doing?
I do. It's taken a long, I make mistakes all the time, and I get corrected. I'm probably my worst critic. I'm super hard on myself. But I have entrusted really paying attention with Hawaiian and my relationship with Akua, and just listening to the land. I think my understanding, and I'm still constantly learning, but the affirmations that I receive are telling me that I'm following the right path. So I really kind of entrust that.
That's awesome. So I want to learn a little bit about your family and your family dynamic, your household dynamic, because seems like you're on a pretty straight and, I guess just good path. Like you went to college, you did the sports, multi-sport athlete, and then you went to college, you got your degrees, you're out helping people. So what were your parents like, and did you have siblings, and were you always this kind of motivated kid, just wanted to do all the things?
Yeah, I'm a little different maybe. So I'm the oldest of three of us. I have two younger sisters. We're all 2 years apart. My mom, growing up, her background is in social work. But she's done all different kinds of things, but always community oriented. She was in charge of, it was called the Teen Pregnancy Intervention Program, where young teens, young mothers needed some education on how to be a new mom. And my mom was kind of an integral part of that whole program that had gone on. So I remember just always seeing the real nurturing side of my mom. No matter what the family dynamic might have been in their situation, she was always trying to find solutions within those things. And I was young and probably shouldn't be overhearing a lot of her conversations, but my mom always told me I had big ears because I was always listening in, whether I was in 2 rooms away or whatever. But I always just kind of
superhero kind thing.
Nosy.
Yeah.
But I would always hear the way that she spoke to people, and just always trying to wrap her head around okay, let's look at it from different angles or how to approach things. So seeing that side of her always kind of probably is my nurturing side. And then my dad, who physically everybody is always kind of intimidated by because he's kind of bigger, heavy, muscular set. He's a high school teacher at Milani High School. He's the woodshop teacher, but also teaches building and construction. But I think also having my dad, very quiet. If he did talk, it was everybody shut up and listen, because it was very thought out. And I would say with me, especially being the oldest boy, both my parents, but especially my dad, is a little harder on me just to make sure if I mess up, my sisters better not, and I also have to need to protect them. So I was always pushed to be the example, but I probably growing up was not the best example for my sisters, and maybe made them dislike me for a certain amount of time. But we all get along really well.
As any good brother should.
Yeah.
You should annoy them.
Yeah.
And there should be a good balance of dislike and love.
I say it's a hard love. The harder I am on you probably is because I love you that much more.
There you go. Yeah.
So yeah, I would say both my parents really raised me in the public service sense of how I grew up, and then beyond that, just my love for Hawaii, being so thankful to call this my home. and learn about the culture and other parts. A couple of my cousins that had gone to Kamehameha schools would always kind of just feed me information because I was in Milani, and just different activities that they were a part of and different things, and just made me more and more interested in connecting into that. So that's also been just a big part of my life of how I can protect all these practices and perpetuate them based on not just what my family had taught me, but the many kumu and mentors and teachers that I've had that have gifted me, I would say, different mana'o and different things of like how I know about kalo and the ocean even. So for me, I want to really keep that safe, and that's how I've kind of approached everything that I do is like share what I can and just keep doing it.
So all this, I guess, like external knowledge of like the land and kalo and ocean, that wasn't from your family. That was like outside. That was like friends and just like
I would
cousins.
say like close family friends, not my direct immediate family necessarily, even though all three, like myself and my two sisters, have all gone that path of being Aina based, or my youngest sister who is a hula dancer, just very much just trying to honor the host culture, especially here, and be true to what we are gifted to know, and kind of just in that sense,
Yeah. I just feel like growing up, at least for me and maybe some of the people around my age, and we weren't really interested in all of that unless you went to like maybe, I mean, I went to Hawaiian immersion school and I wasn't interested. So I don't know if people in Kamehameha had the same experience. They had, because I talk to a lot of people these days and we're like, yeah, man, I didn't care for all that. You know, I took a couple Hawaiian classes, or, you know, we did all the cultural stuff. But, you know, back during our times growing up, we were more interested in Colt Brennan and the UH football and Reggie Bush at USC and all the other stuff we would see, BJ Penn and, you know, the sports, you know, like and video games, like that's what I was interested in. So it's cool to hear that you actually had an interest in all of those at a pretty young age.
Yeah. I just loved being outside, and especially the ocean was a place that I always just felt so at home. Like I almost feel more at home in the ocean, in the water, than I do on land sometimes, just being out in that element and just moving with it. But it's funny that you kind of mentioned that, because now with having the lo'i and we have community work days every Wednesday, there's so many people that come, whether they're our age or older, and are just saying like, you know, I haven't been in a lo'i since 5th grade, 3rd grade. Like I didn't remember what it felt like. And once I got in here, it just felt so good. And the desire that they have to want to continue that is so good for them, because they've had this detachment from Aina and these things for so long. And just getting in that sense is healing for them, in just not even a physical way, but a mental and even spiritual way. So that's kind of the connection that I want to help bridge again with people, and let it happen naturally for themselves. I'm not forcing anybody to do anything. But people are starting to see that, and that's just one aspect of us healing and connecting again.
Totally. It's therapeutic.
Exactly.
Yeah. we love good therapy. So going to your time at UH, and you played football and you also got your degree. I think you left right before I got there, and I was always bummed because, you know, growing up we saw how awesome UH was with Cole Brennan, and then after was it Brian Moniz?
Brian Moniz, yeah, we had a couple different quarterbacks, but yeah, Brian, me and him we were rival schools, because he went to Liverpool and I went to Milani. But it's pretty cool how we've kind of aligned, and even still to this day, like his family members and people come to our lo'i, and he's brought his flag football team, a whole team of kids. So yeah, we're right up the road from each other. So
that's so cool. But going back to my problems and my issues about, I loved going to UH, and I am a big sports guy, but that time I went to UH, we sucked.
Yeah,
I went the exact times where we were not good. We had Cole Brennan, Brian Moniz, and then my time, I don't even remember who we had. And then after that, it was like John Ursula, Cole McDonald.
Yeah.
And right as I leave. So just the 5 years that I was at UH, we were just terrible.
I'm sorry about that. I don't want to down anybody because I know alumni and people are watching, but I do recognize what you're saying, and it deterred me from actually wanting to go to the games. So
it wasn't for a lack of effort. You guys tried your
sure.
best, but it wasn't what we expected, and maybe it was our expectations that brought us the disappointment.
There were some coaching and athletic changes going on.
Yeah. So you didn't overlap with Coat at all, right? He left when you got there. That's his senior.
I saw him a couple times when I had gotten there. He was training for his pro day and stuff, and a bunch of those other boys. But it was pretty much in that transition. And so June Jones had left too. And Greg McMacken, who has since passed, he was the defensive coordinator and uplifted to head coach. And he was awesome. We were still... we won 2 bowl games in my time there. Had winning records. It was a great time.
Must be nice.
Yeah.
Must be nice. Joe. What position did you play?
I was a running back.
Running back. Okay,
Yeah.
that's what I feel like I remember. That's maybe that's why I recognize your name was maybe because football.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't by any means an all-star or anything like that. If you see my stature, I am 5'6". I was maybe 200 pounds at that time, and
Pull over people.
I loved hitting people. But as far as my position, like running backs, UH is a passing team, so pretty much you're just standing in the back and blocking the entire time. So, I would say as far as like my UH career wasn't everything that I wanted it to be, but it was also an opportunity for me to kind of learn, especially being a part of a team that everybody has a position to play. And whether my position be starting, which it wasn't, or in the behind the scenes of making the starters better, I was able to like really humble myself and understand that of course we all want to be the all-star and everything like that. But when it comes to a team, it's a working machine and everybody needs to know their place. If people overstep or not fulfilling their duties, that's when the team falls apart. So I think I've translated that into a lot of things that I do.
Yeah. I always tell people a lot of life lessons I have learned has been through sports. And that's why, I encourage people to put their kids in sports or maybe take up a sport if you're an adult and try to learn things, whether that's teamwork or perseverance, just discipline. So I think so much to be learned from sports. So awesome that you did that. And then after you finished your first 4 or 5 years in college and you got your degree, did you know what you wanted to go into after that, or you're just like, let me just continue getting further in my education and then figure it out after?
So initially, the personal training side had been a big thing. Talking about like adversity, I had suffered throughout my career several like full injuries. I have 2 torn ACLs, collarbone, broken hand, like all different kinds of things, all these setbacks and things that, as you would know, an ACL, coaches and people tell you, you're never going to be the same. Like, you might as well just like, you're
Unless
done.
you're Adrian Peterson.
Yeah, exactly. But I wouldn't accept that. And I credit my parents a lot to always believing in me and pushing me to follow my dreams if that's what it was, and take the necessary route of discipline and just staying consistent in my training and stuff. So I spent a lot of time in the weight room, and that's what made me fall in love with wanting to train other people. So after I had finished at UH, as a lot of the other boys prepare for their pro day, they have a certain amount of time to train. So that's what I originally thought I wanted to do, was train the boys that finish college for their pro days and get their 40s down, and pretty much all the events that they need to look good, get them ready for that. That was a very difficult endeavor just because working with athletes one-on-one can be quite difficult. But it led me to working with other people, younger athletes, other high school athletes that wanted to get to the college level, and then led me to kind of like gym format at different condos in Ala Moana, where they had private gyms and people wanted to do that. So I saw that I was able to help people with nutrition and physical training, And it was like, hey, one person here, one person there, one person there, and like, hey, they're good. But I didn't like the dependency that people eventually had on their trainer. I wanted to set people up for success on their own and let them continue now. I was never interested in like just making money off of everybody, because that's kind of the corporate side of training and all that kind of stuff, or the business side of it. But I wanted to just educate people and get them on their own. So that was kind of my idea of how I went into the master's program, was how do I learn more in depth of how human behavior and how we develop these lifestyle, like these routines, and how do we interject in those to create connection or disassociation with the things that are making us unhealthy, with the things that are making us, or that will make us healthy. And that's kind of my approach and the route that I took in that.
And then during this time, were you already into doing stuff in the AINA already, or was that after you graduated?
Yeah, in that time I was already, I'd say my first time pounding poi or kalo was with one of my friends who I'd grown up playing soccer with, who had gone to Kamehameha. His dad was also just on his own kind of a woodworker, so had created his own papa, and then they had made their own pohaku, and they would get kalo pretty steadily, and he was the one that would kind of be like, hey, come over, I'll show you how to kui. And I think I still have a picture of us both sitting across each other with his dog just watching us, but we would sit across each other, take turns, and just talk and cruise, and then have food, and dad was happy, my parents were happy, everybody was happy, and that's kind of how it started. And then wanting to go deeper, like I want to harvest my own. I've had friends that had small like mala kalo and stuff, but actually one of my best friends, Keli'i Frank, who is at Uncle Bumpy's in the nation of Hawaii.
I didn't know that.
He and Brandon and some other people at the time, his brother Nainoa, there's the area that you see most people are kind of volunteering right now, but there's another back area where there's some deep old lo'i, and pretty much that was the first attempt and interaction that I've had with restoring aina, where me and Keli'i and his brother would hike for about an hour with a weed whacker, get as far as we could, start cutting and seeing all the terraces and things kind of like be revealed. And that in itself was just so like powerful, I would say, as we were helping the aina to breathe again. And it's kind of been something that stuck with me from that point on. And I had always wanted to have my own farm. I didn't necessarily know if it was going to be a lo'i or not, but I like doing aina things and growing my own food and that kind of stuff, and just having that connection. So that's what kind of led me to seeking this other opportunity.
Wow. So I didn't know you had a connection with the people at the nation. That's super. I had Uncle Bumpy and Brandon on the podcast. And of course, I've seen Kili at the volunteer day that I went to.
Yeah.
Oh, super cool. I love the connection, the overlap. So after you finish your time at UH, what did you end up doing?
With my master's or with my undergrad? Or
so after your master's.
So maybe I should tie in a little bit. My master's, my capstone, which is like kind of our version of a thesis in that program, I was able to kind of do it essentially about surfing. So my program, or my capstone, was I was in charge of helping to take what was called Halau Nalu, a surf school that was based out of the east side through Kahana, Kaneohe, Male Kahana, all the way to Laie and Haula. But basically all the kids that were either in Hawaiian immersion at Kamakau or Haula Elementary, this was a program that was designated for them to learn about surfing in He'enalu as a means, well, for my program, it was a means to keep them healthy. This is getting them engaged with the cultural activity as a means to keep them away from gangs, drugs, unhealthy lifestyles, like even the way that they eat, because you need to be physically fit to surf and do all these things. So this was an opportunity for me to kind of observe and create the research and data that is associated with that. And at the same time, I pretty much was solely responsible for about 15 or 20 kids in the water. And like myself, like I'm good. But when I have like some as young as like 4 years old to 12 years old, some of them first time still with water wings and all that kind of stuff, I was a little uneasy. Like most of the parents, some of them would be out too, but most of them would kind of just be on the beach and just like, and I'm like, yeah, this is going to be good. But like, I was so, I wanted to make sure that every kid had a good time and not fall off and like hate surfing. So I would push them and pretty much just go sprinting or swimming like right after them, just to make sure like as they finished the wave, I caught them enough that they weren't going to like face plant or whatever it is. And so in that time, I was kind of just thinking like, I'm kind of responsible for a lot. Like I know the parents, everybody's right there. It's all good, but maybe I should get some kind of safety, like water safety certification or basic life-saving skill certification. So I reached out to a friend of mine that had worked as a lifeguard and mentioned that there were going to be some tryouts coming up. And if I was interested, just go try it out and I could get the certifications. So I just thought, yeah, I'll do like a workout as a tryout, get the certifications, and that's it. Like I don't need to be a lifeguard. I just wanted the certs. And so I did. I passed the tryout. I did the interview, and then there's a recruit class that you go through. And from having come from like undergrad to doing my master's, like sitting in a classroom was not what I wanted to do again. But it was 2 weeks in the classroom and then I think 3 weeks on the beach. And so like I did the classroom stuff. It was good, refreshing to be in a book again and kind of doing worksheets and stuff like that again. And then once we started getting into the water aspects and like making it more tangible and like seeing like, okay, what I learned in the book and then putting it to application started being a little bit more fun. And then before I knew it, the recruit class was over, and it was the year that I graduated was heading into like a really big winter. And I had already started like surfing big waves and just kind of like navigating my way through trying to push myself more and more. So technically when you first come into lifeguarding, you don't just automatically go to the North Shore, like these heavy places. You kind of have to get acclimated in like different like Waikiki or Ala Moana. But sometimes there are slots like guys calling sick or get hurt or whatever. So early in my career, I was designated to the east side, so I had a lot of Sandies and Makapu'u days. But there were opportunities to go up to the North Shore. And knowing that I was living in Mililani, it was an easy kind of route for them to kind of pull me and be at work on time. So I got a real early experience on like what the North Shore lifeguarding and the intensity of the ocean, not just like as a surfer myself, but like now watching over all these people. And it is stressful to a certain degree, but a stress that I embraced, and I still do and enjoy it. And yeah, that's kind of really not on my alignment path, like took this full lifeguard path away from the public health side. But like I was saying, I do feel like it's public health like in action. And I educating the community just from the lifeguard stand and everything like that is public health to me. And we're just trying to be preventative in that way.
Yeah. So it's cool you can still say you're using your degree.
Yeah,
people are like,
for sure.
Oh, probably want an uncle like, hey, boy, why you went college? You're not even using your degree. I'm like, I am. And especially everything that you learned.
Yeah, no, I definitely, I tap back into it all the time, every day. I am a part of a lot of different things to help the lifeguards, just like in that association, whether it's with the union or other parts of government, to ensure that the lifeguards are getting compensated and the things that we need. So I try to, use what kind of knowledge I have in creating data and just articulating the needs of the lifeguards. So I do other things as well to try to like make sure that I'm putting that master's to use.
Yeah, as you're telling your story and you're sharing all these things, I'm in my head. I'm making like a visual picture of, you know, when they're looking for something, trying to figure out like a crime, and they have all the like the lines
webs.
going through something. And I'm trying to figure out like, hey, how did you get good at all these things while doing all these other things? Like, where did you find the time? Like, if you're a land sport guy, like soccer, football, other stuff you mentioned. And then I think you mentioned like canoe paddling and like surfing, but like it's hard to do all of that because like, okay, if you're playing soccer or football, then the next season is soccer.
Yeah,
So
it's
like,
back to back
so
to
that's
back. Yeah.
a full school year. You have football and soccer the whole time, and then if you're doing the outside stuff, you know, like club or other leagues, and then okay, where do you find time to do the canoe and like the getting and not just surfing, like getting used to surfing North Shore, big waves. Like that's like a whole other dedication that you have to do, and then you have your INO work and the volunteer, and then growing. I'm like,
It's a little busy.
yeah, I'm trying to figure that out in my head. How were you able to do all these things? But I guess you did. And once I'm guessing once the sports ended, you know, like the collegiate sport, then you had more time for like water stuff, and like you it's nice that you tied in your capstone with something that you love, with the ocean, with helping others. And then it's so funny that you were like, oh, I'm just gonna do this so to get my, you know,
Just
my,
certs,
my whatever to finish my credits, and then it ended up kind of taking you down this path of what you're, I guess, what you're prominently known for on North Shore is lifeguarding.
Yeah.
So it's just crazy how life works, and that's why I loved talking with people on this podcast, because it's like we assume everything is so linear from what we see on social media, right? Like we just talked with Kai Kamaka a couple episodes ago, a UFC fighter, and like, yeah, he was in the UFC a couple years ago, and he had to take a, you know, windy road and up and down roller coasters, and now he's back in the UFC. But if you just seen him now, you just saw him fight, you know, a couple months ago, you're like, oh, this guy's in the UFC. But you don't know all the twists and turns that it took to get there. So even like you know, being in the Eddie, was it just last year?
Yep, that was my first, or I guess 2 years now, because we didn't run it last year.
Okay, yeah, so 2 years ago. But the last one that ran, you're like, wow, this guy's in the Eddie. But you don't know how long and how much work it took for you to be in there. So super cool. Mahalo for sharing all of that. So, okay, you ended up becoming a lifeguard. And were you doing other things at the same time? Because I'm just guessing that you were always doing like one or two other things while doing that.
Yeah, so along with lifeguarding, the lo'i that I'm at right now, my uncle, who's not a blood uncle, me and his son had played football at UH together. He had this lo'i as, I guess you could call it like his retirement project, where he was already restoring it back to lo'i kalo. And he not only had the time, but like the real expertise of like how to rejuvenate soil and all the things necessary in that aina to get it to where he had it. So knowing that, I would go as often as I could, help him cut grass and just be around the aina in whatever help I could be. So I had that going on. Honestly, I would say training takes a big part of my life, which I don't even know where I have time to train, but
well, when you wake up at like 4 or 5
that's
a.m.,
pretty much
like
it.
The
Yeah,
cycles, that's how you have time.
Yeah, but I'm always training for something. So
Lifting like 1,000-pound rocks over your head.
That was another thing. There's the Tim Wananui Games, which is in line with Makahiki, that annually we invite and have our ohana from Aotearoa and Tahiti and Marquesas and other parts of Moananui Akea, I guess, that we all compete in these traditional sports. So I've been doing that along with lifeguarding as well for quite some time. That's like my summertime activities.
Side quest.
Yeah.
Side quest.
But yeah, that's always another kind of real interesting way to kind of connect, not just with our culture here, but with the other cultures, with our cousins from across the ocean, and having the opportunity to go to Tahiti and Aotearoa and other places to really see how they're living and what we can learn from one another. So yeah, I've always kind of just needed to find something. I can never sit idle.
Can't stay still, huh? So going back to lifeguarding or ocean safety, you started in what year was that?
2015.
2015,
Yeah.
and so you've been there for over 10 years, a whole decade. How much would you say it's changed since you've been in there, in that system or organization?
From like an external perspective, ocean safety used to be under the Department of Emergency Services with the ambulances. Since then, ocean safety has now become its own department where we stand alone, which has made a huge difference in kind of creating the budget to allocate for the positions that we need to ensure that the beaches are constantly covered. So in that sense, we're getting a lot more of the resources that we need to ensure that kind of stuff. As far as like me personally, what I see on the beach, COVID was a weird time because nobody was really allowed unless they were surfing. But the crazy volume amount of people that we constantly get is just pours into the North Shore and every beach on the island, like not just on Oahu, but statewide, is just unbelievable. And we do our best to really educate people and try to keep people respectful of the places that they're going. But unfortunately, the downside of social media has exposed a lot of our private or more secluded areas, and oftentimes people get in trouble there, and it's happening more and more. So that's, I would say, like a change that just in the 10 years that I've been, there's guys that have been in for 30 years and have probably a way more broader sense of change than what I'm speaking to. But in just the time that I've seen, it's just the immense amount of people and population that's just filling in and just kind of doing whatever they want.
Yeah, and social media is definitely a factor in all of this. So I'm happy you brought it up because I remember seeing, I've never been to the actual eddy, but I remember seeing videos, and every year it gets crazier and crazier. People are, parked
Getting wiped
further
out,
and further. They're, now people are like watching from bushes and sides, and now the lifeguards have to expand everywhere and be like, don't do this, don't do that, don't come up over here. Like, it's pretty wild how the impact of social media, right? Because people see it and they're like, I want to do that. And now it gets like overpopulated, especially if we're just the beach in general.
Yeah.
Like I rarely go over there because you can almost never find parking.
Yeah, for sure.
But so with the whole, being a lifeguard on the North Shore and trying to keep people alive and safe, it must be frustrating because a lot of people, I'd say, just don't understand the ocean. They underestimate the ocean.
For sure.
Even for myself as a local, like I rarely go to the North Shore, but say someplace like Sandy's and the current and how strong and powerful the waves are. Like I remember this a couple years ago, just going out, let's just jump in real quick, and then I have fins, and I'm getting like a little pulled back, and I'm swimming. I'm like, why am I not going anywhere right now? And like a little panic starts to set in. Like, okay, I don't want to be the local guy that has to get saved by the lifeguards. So stay calm. And okay, eventually a wave pushes you and you get in. People don't know that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And I'm not sure if you've seen High Rescue Surf. I don't know if you even had time to watch that. But that was, I enjoyed the show for what it was, that it employed a lot of local people. It showed a pretty realistic version of a local boy in Kikoa. But I liked it, and I haven't talked to other lifeguards about the actual show, so that's why I want to get your perspective. But when I say realistic, I don't know if like things were exaggerated in the rescues and stuff, but it was so realistic of the lifeguards having to save people because they're so dumb. Like, be like, hey, don't be taking TikToks of yourself next to the water that's gonna wash you in, or hey, I don't think you should go out, and they're like, nah, I can go out, and then they end up having to get rescued.
Yeah.
So I like that it showed that side of it. As us locals know, it's like, freaking tourists, you guys giving us heart attacks. But
for sure, that actually, as far as the events that took place in that show, those were all very realistic. Those were majority of them were actual rescues or situations and incidents that happen. And then even just those real mundane, like yelling at the tourists on the beach kind of thing, and just like them just waving us off and everything like that. That happens every day. And it does take a lot of patience to be a lifeguard. Like you see the same, like you think you've seen it all, and you'll be surprised tomorrow you're going to see something that you would never imagine. Oftentimes pretty funny.
Yeah, that's why watching it, we're seeing this situation play out, and we're like, this is so ridiculous. But in my head, I'm thinking, this actually happened.
Yes, yeah. We're professional people watchers. We're professional babysitters, essentially. And it's amazing that, unfortunately, you have to be that direct with people sometimes to tell them, like, if you do this, you are going to get hurt. And you have to paint this picture for them in order for them and their kids. Like, sometimes the kids are way smarter than the parents, which is unbelievable, but you believe it. But they just naturally know, like, okay, I see this wave crashing here, I'm going to run up and get away. While parents are like, no, let's go down into it and get slammed. So, it's a very humbling job because even when you do rescue these people, you're barely going to get a thank you.
Yeah, totally.
It's more they're embarrassed and they just don't even want to look at the lifeguard tower as they're walking away. But we know that we did good, and we are ensuring that people are getting home safely to their families, and that's what it's really about.
Yeah, I love that one video. I don't know if you remember. I don't know if it was some Howley boys or maybe it was like a local boy. He was like all bus up with his friends, and she's recording, like, the lifeguard said, not for us not to go in, and we did. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
do you remember that video?
Yeah, that's good stuff. Like,
yeah, like I loved seeing that. I was like, hey, this is a prime case of you guys not listening. We talked on the last episode with my sister and I about firefighters, and we talked about how it's a thankless job, and they're not being compensated as much as they should be. And I know lifeguards deal with a lot of the same things, right? All these public service jobs. I feel like teachers as well. And I feel like you guys aren't compensated the way that you should be. Has the compensation increased, or is it to a point where it's sustainable, where you can actually make a living out of it? I know it's different being a lifeguard in maybe like Aloha or a beaches that aren't as nuts as the North Shore. And for people listening to this, they just for a little context, like being a lifeguard on the North Shore is like being an NFL player, and like being a lifeguard. I'm not downplaying. Like
I would say each side of the island has its own specific risk.
Yes. Thank you for helping me. I don't want to get canceled, but I'm basically saying, like, North Shore lifeguards, like the cream of the crop. Like, it's the most intense. It's like the most hammer-est lifeguards. Like, if you're a lifeguard on the North Shore, like, automatic hammer, regardless of if I know you or not. You're just an automatic hammer. Not saying the other lifeguards aren't hammers in the other beaches, but the North Shore is just another level. I just want to kind of put that into context for people that don't know what we're talking about.
I'll say it's not for everybody.
It's not for everybody, okay? And let me say it so that you don't have to get in trouble. If I get in trouble, I get in trouble. But that's my perspective from just being somebody that sees this happen as somebody who lives in Hawaii. But anyways, so yeah, do North Shore lifeguards get paid a little more? There has to be some hazard pay at least.
There is hazard pay. It's real minimal. I'm probably not supposed to say, I'm not going to get too deep into it, but we are in negotiations the same way that Fire was just with their award for their raises. So we're waiting to hear our award from arbitration currently. Over my tenure as a lifeguard, the pay has increased, but it's quite minimal because we're at such a deficit to begin with that we're just trying to play catch up to what the standard of lifeguard pay is just in the nation. So that's always an issue. And then just the general cost of living in Hawaii, like we're always playing catch up, and to be a first responder and sometimes not respected in that sense definitely hurts. And that's why we lose a lot of people to being firefighters, because they get paid more, or to HPD or to DLNR and other kinds of agencies like that. So I'll kudos and a lot of respect to all my colleagues that stick it out throughout their whole career. It is a long journey, and not just time-wise, but physically. Lifeguards, I don't know if a lot of people know this, but we're subject to annual recertification training, and that's including our physical training, which is what we use to try out. And the standard that we use for that testing is the highest in the world. The times that we have to accomplish the runs and the swims and all those kinds of things are the toughest times, like compared to Australia, other places that have lifeguards. We have the highest standard. And so that's another thing that like other agencies don't necessarily have, but you should be happy that the lifeguards are training that hard every year to make sure that they're physically fit to be able to grab you or rescue your family members.
Yeah, I mean, it's intense just to what you have to put your body through, especially like going through those waves, or like dealing with somebody who's maybe trying to drown you. I did a junior lifeguard when I was, I think, like 6th grade or something. We flew up to Oahu for the summer. So I think my brother was doing it. I think it was like Waimanalo or one of the maybe Bellows or something.
Probably Bellows, yeah.
Yeah, Bellows. And then I was younger, so I wasn't supposed to do it, but I did it with like the 7th or 8th graders or something like that. So I was like the smallest one. I remember one of the I guess courses that you had to do was your partner had to be out in the ocean treading water, and you had to go get him on a surfboard. I remember I couldn't paddle out, and my partner was just treading water forever, and I don't think I made it out there. But like that's how hard. I mean, I was young. I could but still, yeah, like having to run the beach and do all the exercises, and then the actual water stuff it's a lot harder than people think.
Yeah, people
like
don't realize.
A normal person, even if you're athletic, I played soccer my whole life. I was an athletic kid, but when it came to the water, like man, I could even paddle out to like these baby waves.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
I've had like people that do marathons, top shape sprinters and stuff come and try to do the tryouts, or even tell me that they did the tryouts, and they could do the run on the beach, no problem. Once they hit the water and had to learn how to breathe while being kind of tired or ready from the run, they started sucking in water and like tapping out because they didn't even want to finish. And it's a very kind of niche thing to be able to have that balance and understanding of, okay, that's where I need to go. How do I conserve my energy to get there, be able to grab the person and bring them back in? So lifeguarding is definitely kind of a very unique career path, and I encourage all of our young, especially like all the junior guards that come, that's one of our best programs that help facilitate us getting more lifeguard recruits, because they get to experience that at a young age and build that, and then when it comes time to decide what they want to do, those have been some of our best lifeguards. And that's not just on the North Shore, that's in all parts of the island. So they're spread out, and hopefully we can keep getting that building for future generations.
Yeah, awesome. Well, we're hoping for the best. The reason I wouldn't do a triathlon is I don't think I could do the swimming part. Like I did a marathon without training. I was fine. I finished it in like 4 hours 10 minutes.
Nice.
I'm sure I could bike for however long I need to bike, but unless I trained really hard, I don't think I could do the swimming part. So that's, again, just another example of why the ocean is a different beast, and why these watermen are just on another level. So we'll come back to this as we talk about the floodings and how, everything that you've done has helped you to be a community leader. But one of the, I guess, biggest efforts that you started during the pandemic was Lau Lau Solutions, and that really put you on the map, at least for me, as somebody that doesn't know you, as a community leader and somebody who's trying to, do good for their community. So can we talk about, the pandemic and what led up to creating Lau Lau Solutions before we get into a shishi break?
Yeah. Lau Lau Solutions started in 2020, pretty much at the start of COVID-19 or essentially the lockdown orders of the pandemic, where I saw my family members being laid off. A lot of people lost their jobs, neighbors, kupuna that just were scared and didn't know what to do, and having being a first responder and being deemed like an essential worker. Not that it gave us like a privilege, but like I was super thankful. Like nothing was happening to me. I still go to work. Like everything was kind of staying the same for me. But seeing people suffering around me, it was kind of devastating. And then to think that with the lockdown orders, people are pretty much, if they're not scared to go out, they weren't allowed to go out, to go and seek different types of foods and those kinds of things. So essentially they were left with what was in their pantry and their refrigerators for a certain amount of time. And just thinking about like with what I know about public health and canned goods and the preservatives and those types of things, these non-perishable goods that are just filled and loaded with all these kinds of things. Like we're worried about COVID, like getting sick. There's more long-term health issues that we might be seeing, like diabetes and high blood pressure and other things that are attributed to the diet and nutrition that people were going to start experiencing for however long the lockdown is going to be for. And so on my day off, early on in that lockdown time, I had gone to my uncle's lo'i, told him I wanted to make some lau lau, and harvested a bunch of lau, brought it home and kind of just like, okay, I had a couple steamers. I was like, I'm going to make like 60 and I'm going to pass it out to the community. I don't have any social media platform or anything. I just like knew people around and I was like, hey, I'm just going to put it on my story and be like, hey, I'll be at this park. I made all the lau lau. I cooked it all night. And when I woke up in the morning, it wasn't like penetrated hard enough, like through the foil. And so like I kept cooking it throughout the day and like, hey, push it back to tomorrow. But I have lau lau for everybody. And there's a fire. I was living in Waialua at the time. So the fire station was right there. And so basically I was going to the corner of the fire station to go pass out free lau lau to anybody that was in need, as an option for nutrients and just like healthier food for you and your family. I don't need to know like what your situation is or anything. This is for you on your own to just come and seek food. Just bring a bag, and that's all I asked. So I didn't have a sign because I wasn't about to be like posting like free lau lau or anything. Mm-hmm. It was more for like people to like think about, okay, I'm working 3 jobs. I have 2 kids at home. I don't have time to cook today. I'll just run over there and grab 5 lau lau for my family. Like it was for that kind of situation. Or the kupuna down the street that were too scared to leave, and like their neighbor was like, oh, I'm gonna grab for auntie and uncle up the road. That's all good. So it kind of started with that. The firefighter guys, we fed them, and they kind of shared the message with some other people, and like within an hour, all 60 of them were gone. And I was like, oh wow, that kind of was cool. Like people were thankful. Like somebody even brought me a little kalo like up in a pot as like a mahalo at that time, and I was just like, wow, I just wanted to make some food. Like I guess cooking is kind of like my love language, and I love our communities, so that was just a start. And pretty much from there, one of my other coworkers that wasn't even in the North Shore, like he worked on the West Side, reached out to me and is like, hey bro, like if you're gonna do this again, like let me know, I'll come help you and we'll pitch in and buy whatever materials needed for making the next lau lau. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, because it must have got kind of pricey. I mean, because you got to get meat, right?
Yeah. So on the beginning, it was just on my own. And then that next week, he met with me at Chef Zone, and we bought a bunch of meat and some like onions and light ingredients just to follow up with whatever we didn't already have. And then we did it again. He brought a bunch of steamers, and we just put together. So I think we doubled it, made 120, passed it out again, and like started seeing like, well, this is actually like people need this, and people are also reaching out like how they can help. And so it kind of like trickled into this weekly thing of like other lifeguards, other family friends. People were just off on Wednesdays, or I think I was off on Mondays and Tuesdays at that time. So we called it Lau Lau Tuesdays. So we would cook on Mondays and then distribute on Tuesdays. And it started growing and growing to this point where I had a family reach out that they had their own steamer that they had made, and they could fit 500 at a time in there. So we started using that, and pretty much every week we were producing at least 500. And then it would be based on, some people would donate different ingredients. We had people donate fish. We made all different kinds of lau lau. It was like vegetarian, we had smoked meat, we had patele.
I never had smoked meat lau lau before.
We got real creative, and basically like, not that it was like against tradition, but lau lau is like the wrapping of leaves. Like it didn't necessarily matter what you put into it, but it was like the combination and like the bringing together of all these different things to make ai. And so that's why we got creative with like whatever we had. We made a Mexican one, not to be like racist or anything, but like it was like basically a burrito lau lau, like with ground beef, chopped tomatoes, onions, kind of like a salsa kind of taste to it, and then with a little bit of cheese on top.
This is crazy. I never thought of lau lau as like you can make other versions of it. That's so cool. That could be a business, like a food truck.
That's my thing, is like I'm not here to really like make money off of our crops. Like if anything, like I want people just to be that engaged. Like I want the demand to grow for our farmers, like in the store. Like I want more people buying lau, more people buying kalo and that kind of stuff, not me directly selling it. Like I kind of stay away from that. That's why we started the nonprofit. So we'll use grants for that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, you should be compensated though.
I just enjoyed cooking, and I've had all kinds of people like reach out to me. I had a group of kids that I used to coach when I was at UH. That was kind of a special thing. They were 5 years old at the time when I was coaching them, and now they've all graduated high school, which makes me feel super old. But they reached out to me at that time because they didn't have very much going on, and they're like, "Hey, uncle, can we come help you make lau lau for?"
Uncle.
Yeah. And so they all came as a whole group, brought some friends, but basically like it became such a big production that I needed a commercial kitchen. So Jerry's Pizza on the North Shore would offer us to use their kitchen at the time, as long as we were doing it with outside of their operating hours. So it was kind of a little bit of a mission to be setting up in their kitchen at about 3:30, 4 in the morning, and then have a production line of everybody gloved up and like wrapping, and then everybody passing. And
That's the cool thing about making lau lau, is that if you ever did it for a graduation or with your family birthday party, we had to do it at school sometimes. Everybody got their station, you know, they got the lau. It's like maybe you're just putting the wala inside, maybe you're just putting the fish inside. So it's cool how it's just like a whole production line.
And it needed to be because we were on a time constraint, but also I was learning to be as efficient as I could at the same time, and to the point where like we used foil in the beginning, and I wanted to be as clean. It was actually funny. Daniel Anthony, he's a person that had mentored me early on and inspired me early on. He joked, but it was also serious to me because he was one of the outsources that I would get lau from if we didn't have enough in one location. And he was like, "Hey, you're not making lau lau until you wrap it in tea leaf." I was like, "You're right. Okay." All right, now we got to put the kahe out for la'i for everybody.
So it was just foil the whole time, and then he made you do it.
Well, I was trying to figure out how we could not use foil because it just like killed me every time to start wrapping and just knowing how many sheets of foil we're using. But it also kept the moisture in the best. But there is a technique to wrap with la'i, and we eventually did it. It was just a little bit more tedious and time consuming, but eventually we got to that point, and we're still learning more and more of how to make it better and better. So that went on for over a year, and I think in total we're over 10,000 Lau Lau that we had passed out.
Crazy. Didn't he do something during the pandemic where he was giving la'i or kalo leaves?
Yeah.
People?
Well, I mean,
Was it that year? Wasn't there like a huge like
he was
drive-by
giving
thingy?
huli.
Huli.
Yeah,
That's what it huli. It was
yeah.
huli. That's what it was.
And I mean, he still consistently does
Yeah,
that. He has
yeah.
areas all over, and that was just one thing. Like, he would tell me that I could come get as much lau as I want, as long as I and my volunteers are coming to Huki or to harvest it, not me just asking him
Yeah.
like, hey, can I grab and pick it up from you? So he's always teaching me something, and it's cool. So
Yeah. Wow. Another connection from the podcast. I had no idea. Yeah. Daniel's awesome. So you did that during the pandemic, and then it ended up becoming, because it didn't start as a nonprofit, right? It got so
grew,
big that
yeah.
you're like, I think I need to make this into
Yeah.
an actual business or nonprofit.
Yeah, and that's where, like, I guess going back to like my public health side of things is like this is a program that I think the federal government can support for, in particular, the Native Hawaiian population, but all the people of Hawaii. Like, I don't want to discriminate and exclude anybody, but focus on Native Hawaiians getting back to cultural diet and lifestyle, and whoever else is interested. But I wanted it to be sourced or resourced through the government, essentially, and not having like people pay a prescription or whatever to come and eat or participate or anything like that. So the nonprofit, my mission and my whole efforts with it is to not just educate people, but create that relationship, that pilina with their food again, and think about land management. Like, there's three aspects of it, and it, to me, that's like the full vision of health to me. It's just in like a mind, body, spirit kind of thing, is like approaching all these areas with that mentality, and in my head the result should be optimal health.
Yeah, totally. Have you ever heard of the Waialua diet?
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, because I remember reading that when I came back from Peace Corps, and that book blew my mind.
Yeah.
And I think Daniel Anthony's grandfather, or like, I think it was grandfather, he was the one who did that. Or,
Yeah.
So it was cool. Yeah, basically, like, people lost like 17 pounds in 3 weeks. Cholesterol was down. I think it like reversed. I don't know if it reversed diabetes,
yeah.
but it did.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was so cool. So you're kind of just doing the real life Waialua diet.
That was my intention, because I had learned about that. There's the Molokai diet as well.
Oh, I've heard of that.
And then I don't know if you remember the Shintani diet.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Dr.
It was the
Shintani.
Dr. Shintani.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
And I think they had kind of collaborated with Zippy's to try to do something with the Shintani diet. And so that's the kind of research that I had looked at previously. And with my approach, I kind of, not saying that they did anything wrong, I was like, how can we do this a little bit more contemporary? Like, take these traditional things and like how we're recreating different lau lau. Like, how can we make it in a contemporary sense? Like, okay, we're still using the lau, that's the base of it, that gets people the fiber and different vitamins and minerals. Also intrigues them about kalo, potentially, like makes them like not just straight to poi, but okay, we're eating kalo but in a different sense. And then adding in different ingredients, which one of my kumu would always call it, like, we hanai these ingredients, whether it's different vegetables from another country or other things, but that helps to just expand our palate, because people like to try new things and don't like eating the same thing over and over. But yeah, that's kind of my approach, is recreating, or maybe not recreating, just continuing the Waianae and Molokai diet in a contemporary sense.
Wow. You really are Joey Aloha. They say the quickest, way to somebody's heart is through their stomach, right? Is through food. And I believe that, Aloha by itself is it's just a thing. It's not super special, but what Aloha, when it's shared, it's truly aloha. Just like food, right? Food by itself, you're like, yeah, it's cool. I can eat it. I'm satisfied. But when it's shared, oh, that's when it's good. And we're all enjoying it. And, you know, we all kanak attack after. Like, that's true aloha. So, yeah, I mean, you really do embody aloha. It's so awesome. Let's take a quick shishi break, and we'll be right back with social media question and get into the more of the community stuff.
Okay.
Before we continue with this episode, I gotta show love to our friends at Hawaiian Airlines because right now they're running their biggest credit card giveaway ever. And this one is actually crazy. All 2026 long, if you're using the Hawaiian Airlines World Elite MasterCard, every single swipe counts as an entry into their sweepstakes. Just like us this year on the pod, they're going big. Every single week, 7 people will win 100,000 Atmos reward points. And every month, 1 person wins 1,000,000 points. That's 44 million points given out this year. Imagine how many places you could go with that many points. So the more you use your card, the more chances you get to win. And if you're a resident residing here in Hawaii, it gets even better. You'll earn 50% bonus points on all purchases, up to 5,000 bonus points during the promotional period. Winners get contacted directly, so if you see something from Martin Kane, don't skip over it. That could be your points right there. Restrictions apply, no purchase required. See rules. Ends December 31st, 2026 at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. If you want to learn more or enter, check out hawaiianairlines.com/greatpointsgiveaway. Good luck. All right, we're back from a quick shishi break. Mahalo to our drink sponsors, Harders Hawaii, for providing the best quality shishi. 0 calories, 0 sugar, 0 sweeteners, and just Ono sparkling water. I fast every day, so that's why I love these drinks. I can actually drink it while fasting.
Yeah.
And it's some flavor as well. How's the lilikoi?
It's done already.
Do you need another one?
No, I'm good.
Oh,
Thank you.
I didn't even ask. I didn't realize you finished it. Must have been Ono. But yeah, make sure you guys go to hardershawaii.com. You can get 20% off of their 6 or 8 packs and plus free shipping. So you can drink what we drink on the Keep It Low podcast and be a super cool Hama superhero like Joey. You can be like, wow, I drank the same drink Joey drank, and that's how he's so buff and he's able to surf big waves. All right, so let's get into the social media fan questions. First one comes from my good friend JC Shima. This person says, how does it feel to be such a Hama with a good heart?
Thanks, JC. I don't think of myself as a Hama.
Most Hamas don't. That's why he's a Hama.
I do try to live with a good heart. I would say my grandfather, when he was alive, one of the things that he instilled with me was honesty is the best policy. And having lived with that, not saying that I've never lied in my life, but really trying to live with that open heart and just real honest approach at things has made things a lot easier, I would say, in my life. And I would encourage other people to do the same because hiding or hidden agendas, you're going to get exposed eventually. So
totally.
Just
if you're somebody living with Aloha, through Aloha, it shows. You know, when you're not authentic and you put up some sort of mask, like people see, especially in Hawaii,
For sure.
we see right through that BS.
Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah.
So for somebody that just met you, I could already tell, you know, you have a lot of aloha and you have a good heart. So
Thank you.
that's why you're here. All right, next question comes from Brother of Kalo. This person says, what made you so ono for growing haloa and for Aina? You kind of talked about it earlier, but if there's anything else you want to add to that.
Probably I would say similar to how he is. He's way more into it than I am. He's like not more into it, I would say. Like, we're not competing, but just knowing, you know, haloa as a staple, I hate even using that, but just as important of a crop and source for Hawaii for such a long time, and knowing that in traditional times that people were pretty much at their optimal health, it made the people of Hawaii strong, with it being so much a part of their diet. When you look at it in the biology kind of molecular level, the nutrients and things that are accompanied with it are far beyond any other superfoods that are kind of recognized out there. It's also a crop that is not just specific to Hawaii, but is found in other parts of the world. Hawaii is the only place that is pounded into poi, which to me is just even more ingenious of a way to not just eat it, but to transport it and other kinds of things. I'm a believer. I feed it to my daughters as a first food. It's something that, like just knowing that it's something that you can eat from birth and at the end of your life, and sustain you still, it just is proven to how important it is. So I just want to keep that alive and perpetuate it through our people and keep it going. Yeah.
I love that. The cool thing about kalo too for me is that it's something that sustains us, and it can sustain multiple generations, and it has sustained past generation from one huli that could feed generations,
Exactly.
right? So it's like we could be eating the exact same kalo that our ancestors ate, and our future generations will be eating the same one from this same plant. And I just love that, like the I don't know what is it called, like the imagery of that we can, like, we're all being sustained, we're all connected through this one kalo, which in Hawaiian history was like connected to the first Hawaiian. So I love it. So cool lore. All right, next question comes from X_Godzilla_Killa. What a name. X_Godzilla_Killa. He asks, ask him if he remembers when he trained the NSB at 5 a.m. at his dad's gym. I'm guessing NSB is North Shore Boys.
Yeah. Like how we were talking about, that's the only time that I get to train is like super early in the morning. And before these guys started their own gym at their house, I had invited them to join me at mine. So they would wake up extra early to meet me in Milani, and we'd hammer out some workouts and then go to work. So discipline is something that, discipline and consistency are two of probably the most important things to me. And I think that's what's allowed myself, and I would say other people, to be successful in the things that they want to do.
Totally. I mean, I think you ask any successful people, and they would probably say consistency, discipline, resiliency, just like not giving up and actually showing up. Right?
Yep, exactly.
I'm sure if you've played sports, they say, just showing up is half the battle.
Yep.
All right. Next question comes from Joe_Martha. This person says, what keeps you motivated?
That's a good question. I'd say probably knowing that there's still a lot of work to be done. I don't know how I was gifted to have so much energy that I do, but it just, in here, it's constantly going on. And even to just thinking about the flood and the victims that are still affected right now, just knowing that there's somebody out there that might not be sleeping on their bed or even in their own home that they were originally in, motivates me to know that if there's something that I can do, then my work's not done. So keep going.
Well, that's why you have that superhero mindset. It has to be some sort of mindset for superheroes to have, to be so selfless and be like, okay, I'm Peter Parker. I just finished high school, and now I have to go save the world and go to sleep late and wake up the next day for school. It's a different type of person who, does that and really cares for others and puts their life on the line for these things. And it leads perfectly into this next question from Aina Child. How do you balance serving your community and home/ohana life? Because right now I'm watching a show called Invincible. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's an animated one on Amazon Prime. Not sponsored, but Amazon Prime. Basically, it's about like superheroes and like if Superman was bad. But the dad is a superhero. He's always coming home late for dinner. Yeah. And so I've been watching this stuff, and even like the kid, he's a superhero and he's like trying to date a girl, and he's always late, always missing stuff, always has to go save the world. Because I've been watching that, I've been thinking a lot about you and all the other, alakai and the people I call real life superheroes, and how this is so relatable to what you guys are doing. And I'm like, thanks. Not all superheroes wear capes, for real. But it's tough because, like, as I'm watching these shows, it's hitting a nerve in me where I'm just like, I feel so bad for these people. And, like, you're rooting for them. Like, show up for that date. Show up for this, for that recital or whatever it is. And we see it all the time. And the reality is there's actually people who aren't wearing capes and masks that are going through stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, how do you balance all of it?
That's a good question. You know, kind of early on in the flood relief, somebody kind of was doing an interview with me, and there were several that had gone on, and I was just like in such a routine already that I was just like kind of like spitting off like, hey, yeah, this is going on, this is going on, this is what's going on. And then she asked me something about what do you miss? And like it kind of like just hit me all of a sudden. Like I am kind of emotional, but like broke me down, and I was like, I miss my wife and my daughters. And I just started crying, and I just like realized just like, not that I didn't know. And I would say like, you know, if anybody's a hero, it's my wife and my kids, my daughters, because they know that dad's out there trying to help other people, but I can't be there with them. And they love me for it. But like, even just before coming here this morning, the little moments that I have, which is getting a little bit more now, but just having the time to take my daughter to preschool and drop her off and hold her hand and walk her to the door, and that kind of moment, or majority of the time, because I get home late, I'm just laying at their side while they're sleeping early in the mornings and those kinds of things, and just hoping that me just like tickling their back or just being right at their side or cuddling them a little, that they know that dad's there. But it has been quite difficult to balance that, and people keep asking like, hey, are you okay, and all this kind of stuff, and like I am okay. I just wish there were more hours in the day, and wish that I could always like articulate to everybody that how much they mean to me, to my parents, and everybody that's kind of supported me through my life, and especially recently, everybody's the people that keep me motivated and going. So
beautiful.
Yeah.
You know, I've been thinking a lot about happiness, and you know, because I'm also a busy guy, and people come at me like, oh yeah, I see you're doing all these things, and like I don't know if it was my brother or somebody, they asked like, are you happy? Like, are you actually happy? And to me, I've been thinking more, I guess, or less about happiness and more about peace.
Yeah.
Because like I don't think that happiness is my goal anymore. I think I just want to be at peace.
Yeah.
And the moments of peace, and we're just literally talking about this off the podcast before, as about like our little moments that we can just find peace in the chaos. Whether that's in the shower, whether that's just taking a break, doing something else, whether that's me ripping Pokemon cards and, you know, with my girlfriend. Because I feel like I'm happy.
Yeah.
And I'm always happy. And if you're a happy person, you're happy.
Yeah.
Right? But that doesn't mean like everything is good.
Yeah.
And doesn't mean like I'm not stressed. And like I always tell people it's seasons. You know, there's seasons where like a couple weeks ago, like every single day was so much, and like I need more time in the day to actually get everything done. And then there's times where it's a little slower. But then also like peace can be seasonal.
Yeah.
You think about Makahiki, right?
Yeah.
There was time for war. There was time for peace.
For sure.
So I think if we just remember that, it's like, okay, there's a lot of things I wish I could be doing. Even when we talk about being injured. Like I've been injured for the last 2 years, and like I miss doing stuff.
Yeah.
Like I don't have a wife and kids. I have my girlfriend. But there's things that I miss doing. And I know eventually I'll get to do it, but it doesn't make it easier knowing that like eventually maybe I can spend more time in these different aspects of my life. But I'm still happy doing what I'm doing, and I'm sure you're happy helping out, and it makes us feel good. But yeah, I think peace is the ultimate goal, and I hope at some point when things settle down and the dust settles and maybe there's more help or people to take things off of your plate, you find more peace. Like I'm learning that as an adult, as you get more things on your plate and you wear more hats, and learning how to like offload it. Like I recently just started asking my brother to post on social media for me because that took a lot of my time and it messed up with a lot of my peace. Like if I'm doing something, I have to be on my phone posting because it's at this specific time. And like we're going to the movies and the movie's starting, but the first like 15 minutes, I'm just like this in the theater. So like it messes with our peace.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think peace is the goal. Peace can be seasonal. I respect everything that you're doing, and I hope that you're able to, find more of a balance with peace and happiness and all the stuff that you're doing. But I don't know how soon that'll be. But I'm rooting for you is what I'm saying.
I'd say whenever I get like really overwhelmed with something and it takes a lot, I'll always stop and like question like, am I doing this for the right reasons? Should I be the person doing it? And try to just navigate that. And I'm sure like a lot of times, you are the only person that can do it. And sometimes you've been put in these positions because people want to be able to help and like they offer to take things off your plate, but just don't necessarily have the full vision of how it can be done best. So I always just will kind of reevaluate myself and just see where my ano and my conviction in what I'm doing is coming from, and then I can kind of settle and be like, you know what, don't even touch that, or okay, we got to keep going.
Yeah, with our nonprofit, we're still trying to figure out our mission and stuff like that. I mean, we do have one, but it's always changing. It's still early on. But I would love to just have some sort of fun. And I don't know if anybody has this already in Hawaii, but like some fun to pay the people who are taking time to help the other people. Like I almost want to be a nonprofit that helps other nonprofits.
They're out there.
Yeah. But because like, I don't know, like you guys, like in Jamaica and all the other people, I know there's a lot of other leaders. Those are just the names I know. Nicole, Kahale. I'm sure to Kaiser.
Oh, yeah.
I just feel like you guys should be compensated. I know we do these things to help from the goodness of our heart, but I feel like I don't know. There needs to be more. Like somebody should like donate a steak dinner or something at the very least. I talked about this with Chardonnay too, and like if I had all the money in the world, I'd be giving you guys all these things. But yeah, this is my own thinking out loud.
I'm the same. I would do the same.
I just feel like what you guys are doing it's so important, and I know you're not expecting anything in return, but there should be something besides thank yous in return.
The heartfelt like aloha from everybody is like the hugs and everything, the smiles, like that's all I need. Like I want to give to all those people too, because they're really sacrificing a lot, and I respect each and every one of them, and we all worked so well together. It seemed like a very well organized machine that we had going. So even the new people that I got to meet has been such a great pleasure, and people I look forward to hanging out with and spending more time with. Yeah.
Again, respect for you guys. Next question comes from Mark_Thompson_from_CA, California. This person says, a lot of underscores there, Mark Thompson. I have a thing on the podcast where I read all these social media questions. I'm like, why do people put so many underscores in their names? It's so unnecessary. But anyways, shout out to you, Mark Thompson from CA. What keeps you going? The sacrifice you make as a lifeguard, the time you spend on the farm. What's your why? It's kind of this question similar to what keeps you motivated, but if you have anything to add to that.
I would say the why is kind of like our state motto, like ua maokea ko aina pono Hawaii. Like we do this work to serve not just Hawaii as people, but this aina, and that's ultimately what I want to protect and save. And if we don't have the people to take care of the aina, then what's gonna happen?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you keep saying these things and inspiring. I'm about to run through a wall and do whatever you guys need. I don't know if this wasn't a question, but I don't know if somebody responded to my story, because now I'm thinking like, if somebody asked like, would you ever run for office or something, I might have got a DM about that, but not because sometimes when I post these, people don't actually post in the poll that I do, but they respond to the actual story, and I forget to put them in. But I feel like there's a question about that. But even if there wasn't, is that something that you think you'd be doing in the future? The next Brenton Awa?
No, not necessarily. I like to stay neutral on politics. I've had a lot of experience as of late, like with how things work, and all the people that I've worked with have been amazing and great. But it's a realm that I think would take me away from Aina too much that I wouldn't be happy. I'd be happy to be an advisor or anything for someone, but I don't see myself being in that position and really being myself anymore. But I'm not going to say no or never. Just as of right now, I like where I'm at, and I am more than happy to work with different politicians and see how we can come to agreements on things. But as far as me running for an office position, not anytime soon.
You can be the first governor who works out of Deloitte.
If we can make accommodations for that kind of stuff, then maybe.
You're just like just thinking of being in office again. You're like, no, never again.
Yeah.
Okay. Last question. A lot of these questions were similar. This one comes from Dom.Prevails. This person says, what or who motivates you on days you feel uninspired? So it's kind of similar to, it's just saying what motivates you in a different way. But I'm going to shift this a little bit and be like, so on the days you like feel like you're too tired, you don't want to wake up for the workout, like how do you shift that mindset and get into it? Like I'm a person where like if I'm tired or I'm not motivated, I'd like this David Goggins plays in my head where he's like, don't be a little.
That's exactly what I was gonna say.
Like that's
like I talk to myself like that. I'm like, am I gonna be or am I not gonna be? And even on top of that, just like me yelling at myself, I think about my children, my daughters, and just like the time, like especially for a workout. If I'm gonna be doing a workout, the reason why I'm doing it is to equip myself for whatever physical things that I have going on and mental as well. And whether that's surfing big waves or just being a lifeguard in general and having to rescue people. But really that comes down to like ensuring that I'm strong and safe enough to return to them at home. So that kind of process goes through on top of like the don't be a bitch.
Yeah, that's the best motivation for guys. What, you're not gonna jump, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Don't be. All right. Mahalo everybody for the social media fan questions. Make sure you leave some for our next guest, and maybe your question will make it on the podcast. Now I want to get into the recent floodings that happened a month ago, and I know it's gonna be a long process. I think over $1 billion of damage. Different parts of the island, Waialua got affected very drastically. Compared to some of the other parts of the islands. So I just want to kind of go back to when it started, and like we'll talk about what's going on now. But from it, to me, at least, it felt like it was out of nowhere. I don't know if that was like it was like that for a lot of people. I don't know if the response time from the state just wasn't good, but yeah, could you just take us through what happened? And it was crazy because I was gone during the second week of the floodings. I was in Louisiana for my Peace Corps reunion. And some people around the world had no idea what was even going on.
Oh, for sure.
And it just seems so weird, like that people were out of touch. It just seemed like this wasn't reality, that like there's so many people suffering in Hawaii and like this is ongoing. And it's just crazy. National news, but some people just had no idea what was going on.
Yeah. That's interesting, but yeah, we'll start from the beginning, I guess, and go into that.
We like to go all over the place.
It's all good. I would start probably from the first flood, which was about 2 weeks before the big flood. And so in that initial flood, there were a lot of alerts and people really being cautious of like the rising of the Waialua Dam. So that was kind of like the two hot topics. So it was just monitoring that and just the initial saturation that was going on. Having the lo'i, I was there that day. We've flooded in the past before, and we were anticipating the rain. So I was there and I watched us flowing one way, and then at one point I saw the water reverse and come back at us and start just building and building and building. And that's, I need to see those kinds of things so that I can prepare for the future. So I stayed as long as I could until I barely got out on my quad. But that was kind of the initial flood. We had lost a bunch of things there. And then fast forward to March 20th, which I guess it was Thursday night into Friday morning. That's what it was. But I'm very close with a bunch of the neighbors around our lo'i, and keep in close contact. So like even after that first flood, like just checking in and making sure everybody's all good. And they didn't receive any damage, but there were areas that were quite devastated initially. And then that night, it was pouring in Mililani, hard to hear anything, but I was keeping tabs on them and seeing like how things are going. And basically at about 12:30, I got a call from them saying that they're getting on stand-up paddle boards with their 3-year-old son and leaving their house, and knowing like the distance that they were from our patch and that I was at a lower elevation, like that means that much more water came into their area. And it was like kind of unbelievable, like just waking up and being like, wait, what? No way. Okay, I'm coming. So I told my wife I had to go. I scrambled to my parents' house to get a kayak. I was suited up in my wetsuit already, just knowing like I'm a lifeguard. Like when you deal with water, the best thing to be is in water clothing and that kind of stuff. So not knowing exactly what I was going into, I put on like my big wave suit just to ensure like pretty much like I don't have like a rescue tube or anything with me, but if I'm going to grab my friend's 3-year-old kid and I had to swim through something, I wanted to be able to like float and move and everything. So I called one of my best friends is Nolan Keaulana, who's one of Buffalo Keaulana's grandsons. Yeah,
a real life superhero. Exactly. That's the guy that saved the kid, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my gosh, so cool.
He's the only person that I knew at 2 a.m. I could call and he'd answer and be down for a crazy mission. So he answered. I told him, hook up your ski and let's meet up on the North Shore. We'll try to meet in front of my farm. And so he was on his way down. He actually made it through the Snake Road, the backside. And as I was approaching, they had just shut it down. So he was like one of the last people to make it that way. So I had to detour and go down Kamehameha Highway through the pineapple fields. And basically we got to 2 separate parts of Haleiwa and couldn't really rendezvous with each other. So at that point, I was starting to see, it was still dark. It was about 3:30 when I got there. I saw lights flashing, all the police, everything. And I pretty much parked as far as I could that they were allowing. And then as I kind of just was taking everything in, like saw like, okay, this is what I can and cannot do. So I grabbed the surfboard that I had and just started walking from like ankle deep water to knee deep water to waist deep, and just seeing like people were screaming, trying to get out. Right where my farm is, like where I was trying to meet people or meet my friend, it was kind of a drop off. And that's where like the water was pouring over the road and into all the houses in the lower area. And all these cars that were trying to leave that were hitting this great amount of the speed of the water, and just either unable to push through it or their cars just shut down completely with like new sensors and upgraded cars that vehicles have, just wouldn't move anymore. So people were literally trying to break out of their car, just get out in water and grab their kids and dogs and everything. So that's who I kind of started with, was just using my board to get them onto the board and like float them up to the street to walk to, at that point it was Waialua High School, which was the evacuation center, but that changed shortly after that. And so I kind of just started with some of those rescues and started seeing the boys on the track loaders. There were probably 3 of them operating at that time. And for the most part, they were kind of going through and either pushing water for cars to drive behind them and move up, or they're physically like towing or like using their bucket to guide cars out. Big trucks, even lifted trucks that couldn't make it through because this water, the speed of the water was just pouring in, and all these vehicles were having a real difficult time. The track loaders were the only things that were able to be at a height with their tires that could kind of traverse through the water. So kind of just recognizing each other's efforts at that time. And I knew a couple of the guys, Mark from Me in Hawaii and Isaac from Hungry Hawaiian, happened to be on one of those track loaders, and pretty much was just say, hey, bring your board, like come help us with this. And so that's where I kind of first met Levi and Brewski, and then the boys that were operating. And we kind of created our own little team without even saying anything.
It's like you all just looked at each other and knew
Yeah,
what to
it was
do, right?
pretty much
Yeah.
like head nods and like, let's go. Which that's my kind of guys. Like I enjoy, like just from a lifeguarding perspective, it's exciting to go into dangerous situations sometimes. Like not that we
Adrenaline's pumping, yeah.
not that we look for it, but just like you either know like I'm ready for this or you're not. And even though it was still dark and we were kind of like uncertain what was going on, like there was real minimal communication. My phone at the time was like just soaked. Like I couldn't really, I could see things, but I couldn't be like typing and looking and like grabbing people and stuff. So a bunch of us actually ended up putting our phones in the cabin of the tractor, and the boy that was operating it was kind of coordinating, just getting pings of like addresses and locations of people, and just going from street to street and picking people up. So that's kind of how we did things initially. And then we got calls further and further away, all the way to Mokuleia and other places. And it was pretty much just a team of ranchers and boys getting together and doing what needed to be done. Eventually I caught up with Nolan, and Ocean Safety had deployed their own rescue units to assist with the other first responders. Essentially just fire and National Guard and HPD, they did what they could, but they were kind of limited in access to and just their training to be able to do and pull off certain things. So it was a collective effort in how we all had to work together to extract people from their houses in dangerous situations. And just the fact that we didn't know how much more water that was still coming down. Like the rain had subsided, but the water levels kept rising still, like throughout that morning and throughout the day. So it was still getting deeper and deeper, and like it was at the base of a majority of the houses. So a couple of them had already collapsed, we had known and seen. So potentially there were more, and if more of these houses collapsed and started moving and created blockages, like it would just get more and more full. So everything was kind of just in the moment, adjusting and reacting. This is one of those moments that I really appreciate social media, with Isaac and Mark being able to
shout out to them.
really give that information out to people. It might have reached other people that checked in with their loved ones that had no idea what was going on because either their phones were underwater already or just whatever reason that they didn't know what was going on. And so it helped to give pretty much just like real-time updates and what's going on, and helped us to rescue even more people. So I would say that was pretty much the first day. I mean, there's details of all the little rescues, but me personally, like as we were going on and just knowing what could be a worst case situation, none of us really talked about it, but I would say we were prepared to see things that we didn't want to see. But I'm super thankful that nobody died. Like we collectively had secured everybody. There were possibly 3 people that were missing, but we got a count and everything was all good. And I think that is a miracle in itself. But that on top of the rock fall at Waimea, to me, both those situations with nobody dying or being seriously injured, really kind of spoke to me as like, this is Akua like talking to us like, you guys better change your ways and how you guys are approaching these things, or it could be a lot worse. But this is a warning.
Yeah, just a warning. Yeah, it's good to look out for the whole island and, you know, make sure that you're actually doing something about it, right? It's just like, oh, cool, that's an interesting sign, and then just go on with the rest of your day. Like, no, let's think about it. Let's reflect on it. Let's see what we can do differently. But shout out to you guys and, you know, all the people that kokua with the rescues during that specific day. Because I remember seeing on social media like how crazy it was, the pictures, the was it like the kupuna having to like get lifted out and
on top of their roofs and everything, people
the
screaming.
Tractor with people inside, like those very like viral pictures that we've all seen. And again, shout out to Mr. Mean and Isaac. Isaac was on the podcast, and Isaac, man, he's also like a hero vigilante kind of guy where he's just like, he's everywhere.
He got a lot of energy
that
too.
That guy is everywhere. I see him driving on his moped and I'm like, hey, I just saw you. But like when things are happening, it's not like I used to think like it was people sending him videos, and a lot of it is, but a lot of times he's actually there. Yeah. Like, man, he's like, you see, he gets the bat signal and boom, he fires out. I can't imagine how crazy that must have been, and how scary it was for the people that going through it and not knowing like, am I gonna get out of this? This is a real life or death situation
for sure.
And because of, you know, your guys' fast response, lives were saved. So that can't be, you know, understated of how important the work that you guys did was. That was one part of it. The next part was the recovery. And then it happened again.
So I would say in the early days, like immediately after, we had kind of, us and the boys, meaning like we had gone to all the kind of noted in our heads, like the streets and areas that were most heavily affected, and potentially people that had stayed, like, because there were people that had 2-story homes that like, no, we're good, we'll stay here. But we wanted to go and ensure that everybody was safe. So we created the kind of welfare checks in these hard to hit areas and constantly did it. And that was in the initial stages of creating the hubs, where we had 3 essentially different main hubs, with the distillery at the sugar mill being kind of central, what we kind of created like our emergency operations center. And then St. Michael's Church had a hub. We had one at the polo fields, and then one more was at in Haleiwa at the community center. So these were created to essentially get resources to people in like a relatively easy location for them with how spread out the North Shore was. And those resources were basic food, cleaning, water. There was moments as far as like the cleaning goes where pressure washers, generators, more heavy duty type cleaning things were required, but this was all in transition because we've heard it before, but like flooding is a little different of a situation than other things. Like it goes from water to mud to dirt and being able to clean it and get that out. And then the mold and things on top of that just makes the process a lot longer. We're still in that recovery stage right now, and this is 2 months later. But it just made for like things to constantly be changing, and that kept all of us like evolving as the situation continued. Of like, okay, this isn't working anymore. What do we need to make it work now? And that's where having people like Councilmember Wire, Amy Peruso, Sean Quinlan, all of our representatives in these areas were right there with us, hearing us out and making the calls that they needed to get people adequate supplies, or whether it was Starlink in an area to keep people informed on things, with another rain coming possibly, and just everything that needed to be done. We had medics to check on people, not just the residents that were the victims, but also the outpouring of volunteers that we had. Not everybody was quite equipped to be able to handle the situation, and there were cuts and infections and things to kind of worry about. So there was a lot of moving parts to the initial parts of the recovery, and then dwindled down to what the necessities were, and then to where we are now, into like each and every household, what specific things that they need to get back to a normaler sense of lifestyle again.
Yeah. Well, I want to give a couple of shout outs to, of course, the local community, the people, like you guys, like, doesn't matter if they're posting on social media. There's so many people, names that we don't know about, that just like took action, helped out. Awesome. And shout out to some of the transplants and the Howlett people that, we give sometimes like we look at them in a way where we're like, we don't like them.
Yeah, they're here to take from us.
Yeah. So the good ones.
Yeah.
I mean, there are probably a lot of people that have benefited from Hawaii that didn't help out, but the ones that actually did, because I went to the Waialua distillery one day and I'm like looking around, I'm like, a lot of these people are not from here.
Yeah.
So I was like really proud of those like college students, and even like my girlfriend has a friend, Meg. Shout out to Meg. Like, she's not from here, and man, she raised more money than I did. And she was like making Costco runs, dropping it off in places, and like using her social media platform to like get things together. I was like, it was a moment where, like, obviously I'm proud of our local community and I love that we get together. Yeah. But I was really proud of like these transplants during this time.
There were a lot of really cool things that I got to see. Like you're talking about, there were a lot of UH kids that came out. And then even other high school kids. I can just remember one day at the hub, people kept directing other people to me to ask questions sometimes. And it was kind of a joke, but one of the girls directed like 4 or 5 boys that are like, hey, where can we help? We're from Lelehua High School. And like, I just like looked at them. I was like, it kind of reminded me of myself, of just being like so like young and innocent, but just like so like geared up to help. And like, there wasn't anything going on in the moment. I was like, how about you guys go get lunch over there and come back in 2 hours, and then we'll get ready to go again. And they're like, okay, yeah, we'll go do that. But they were down. Like, that's the kind of stuff, like seeing people give of themselves, and maybe not having the direction, but like of being so willing was so beautiful. And then even like there were several accounts of tourists that were planning to come and had like Airbnbs or whatever it was that are illegal, but that offered like, hey, we're going to cancel our trip, but we're keeping the Airbnb. If somebody needs a place to stay for 3 weeks, take this house and that kind of stuff. And that was even really cool for somebody to recognize from afar, okay, maybe this isn't my time to be there and somebody else can use this. Like, let's do that. And that I applaud that kind of stuff and hope that people will recognize that more, because it wasn't like that for everybody.
Totally. And shout out Jack Johnson and his wife.
Yes, absolutely.
They're
Jack
always
and Kim
helping out. And it was cool when I was there. It was like, it's cool to see, people who, not saying they don't need to be there, but they have a certain status of like, they could be doing other stuff. Yeah. But they're taking time out of their day to do that.
I would like to say, like, Jack especially, like, I got to know him a little bit before, and like kind of we're in the surf scene and stuff. And like, he's always been an idol to me, obviously, as growing up. But how real of a person he is for being like of this like superstar status. Yeah.
A-lister in Hawaii status, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like the conversations of me and him just sitting down and him asking like, what do you guys need? And like being such a good open ear, like I think it really speaks to like his music is super genuine. He's a genuine person, and just someone like that, like that's great representation of Hawaii to me.
Totally. I mean, he's just care, like he's actually doing stuff, getting
Yeah.
dirty, and
Yeah.
then somebody comes, hey, can I take a picture with you?
Yeah.
Takes a picture,
Still
gets
smiling,
right
yeah.
back to work. I'm like, what a guy.
Yeah.
So it's been 2 months since, probably a little bit longer since, the first big one, and things are still in works right now. So what is like the biggest need? What's going on now, and what should we be aware of as people watching and listening to this?
So people are still in a variety of different stages of their recovery, whether it was minimal damage that they had or complete catastrophic, everything gone. So we're really trying to focus on those people that still aren't in their homes. A lot of that has been partially because there's materials that need to be bought or brought even to Hawaii to ensure that people can get back into their houses. So there's a lot of construction going on. The waterways are still being cleared by the city and state and private contractors. But this is all going to be an ongoing effort for quite some time. So I'd say financial aid for longevity. There's several nonprofits that are still recurring donations and trying to continue that. Also, just not to forget, like Waialua and the North Shore were hard hit areas, but Laie, Kahuku, Haula, Waianae Coast, and especially Molokai. That area in itself is so hard to kind of get things to, especially in a timely manner. And these people in Molokai aren't like going to be loud about it. They're very humble, laid back, and we want to ensure that they don't get left out, because a lot of these homes that were affected are generational homes. The structures aren't necessarily as structurally sound as we are building in today's time. So they do need like quite a bit of resources out there to actually just get these people back into their homes and in a normal state of living. So just knowing that there's so many different parts like that were affected by this, and then knowing that we're still kind of like in this defensive setting because we're heading into hurricane season. Also the potential for fires and all these other kinds of things. So just being more aware just of our environments and how we kind of dig or backfill or do different things, just to not just think about yourself, but your neighbors and everybody around you. And I think that was kind of one of the issues that led to a lot of this. Like there's no way that we would be able to resolve all of it if everybody kept their drains open or whatever. Like there are some bigger infrastructure things that need to be done and that are currently being done. But it's an ongoing process, and hopefully everybody kind of sticks to the alignment to get it done and not put it off. But that's, I would say.
Mm-hmm. So as a lifeguard, your job is to protect people, but a lot of it is preventative, preventative. So make sure you don't go in the water before you need help.
Yeah, exactly.
For the flood, could this have been prevented, you think? Because I saw a lot of things about how the dam knew, or like, I guess the Wahiawa Dam, it should have been fixed a long time ago. They knew about it. There's stuff about Dole. And not to get to like conspiracy theory about like the weather and all the stuff, but like, do you think it could have been prevented?
I think there could be a lot more mitigation that could be done. I don't know if I could say complete, like I'm not an engineer, but I also think it's simpler than people are making it out to be. I'd say if you just look at the Ahupua'a system, you look at the terrain of Mount Ka'ala and everything coming down to the North Shore, you follow those veins and those valleys, I think it's pretty evident of where the water is supposed to go and where it's not. And that's what I would say without getting too corporate or anything into like, not the conspiracies, because I don't even think it's a conspiracy. It's the reality of things that were done and not reported or whatever it is. So if we were to take a broader picture and look at of where the water used to go, how it naturally ran, and how what stopped in areas and created new flows. That's the kind of mitigation that I think we can approach right now and ensure for the future, and not just in the North Shore area, but the entire state of Hawaii, like to ensure that this doesn't happen in Hawaii Kai or other places of people living in valleys in these low-lying areas.
Yeah, it was crazy. This is the worst flooding I've ever seen in my lifetime. I mean, I'm from Hilo. We're used to floods. You know, I've played soccer with flooded, fields where you kick it and it stops right before the goal because there's so much water. And like, you know, we're used to the flooding. And then, you know, Kauai had that hurricane Iniki a long time ago. But in my lifetime, what I can actually remember, this was the worst I've ever seen.
Yeah.
On so many scales. And like even after the flood and like the debris, there was like the bacteria too.
Yeah.
Like there's so much bad that came out of this.
Yeah. Yeah, it's still ongoing. There's still constantly doing water and soil sampling just to ensure the health of the people, but also because of much of the North Shore was such a farming community, we want to ensure that produce and things that are going back into the community are meeting the guidelines that they do. So
so even the stuff that's gonna be grown,
potentially
it could be affected
potentially. So we're still trying to even figure all that out. I won't go too deep into that because I'm still learning it myself.
Okay, so for me, every time it rains now, I'm always telling my girlfriend, oh man, I feel so bad for all the farms and like the people on the North Shore and the West Side. I'm like, especially we just had some heavy rains the other couple days ago, a week ago, I don't know. And I was like, oh, I hope it's not hitting the North Shore and stuff because Pro City got it pretty bad. And I was on the West Side when it was happening and heavy raindrops. I was driving, it was like,
it's
pop,
big,
pop, pop,
yeah.
pop. Lightning. I've never seen lightnings like that. Like, I don't know. Is it something? There's something going on with like the world, weather, climate change. Maybe we need to get like an expert in here to explain all of this to us. But like, this is the worst. Like, things are happening in extremes that I've never seen. Like, it's getting colder than ever. It's getting hotter than ever.
For sure.
It's flooding more than ever. Like, what's going on?
I feel the same way, and I don't think it's even a conspiracy thing at all. Like, these are just natural observations. Like, I just remember football camps are always in summer, and I would always be like, wow, this summer is like hotter than last summer and like hotter than last one. And like even now, like when I'm on the beach in the summer at Waimea, I'm like, I just ran the beach at 9 o'clock and my feet are burning. Like usually I should be able to run here till 10 o'clock and be okay. But I do think that the contributions to global warming and climate change, human contributions are accelerating these things dramatically. And that's where I really hope that events like this can have people take a pause and look at how naturally and traditionally things were done and maintained, and just general care for land, and not just like treating it as property, but treating it with a relationship. Those types of mentalities need to come back, and it's a communal thing. Like, it's not just like these guys are in charge of this, so we don't have to do it. Like, if you're on the edge of it, like, you got to take care of your side too, and everybody else got to take care. So that's, I hope, something to come out of all this is how we all kind of contribute to ensuring each other's safety and just the natural way that I know should be.
I mean, think of all these proverbs and sayings in Hawaiian, like "Heli'i ka'aina he kawa ke kanaka," land is chief, man is its servant. Like "E malama ka'aina naka aina e malama ya," I take care of the land will take care of you. I wonder if this is like signs of like, you aren't taking care of us, so this is us crying out to you and like yelling like something is happening, something is wrong. You guys should be doing more or like taking care of us, because right now for us to take care of you, you're gonna have to do something different. Because like I'm seeing these things and it seems cataclysmic. It seems like at times like this is the Noah Ark story that like, has been told to us since
like
we were
young.
It's
a movie or something. Like I can't believe this is happening.
No, it's really trippy. And I hope the world isn't ending.
Yeah.
I was hoping for a zombie apocalypse over torrential downpours, but if this is the route we're going to, then I don't know. We got to reconsider some things.
Start swimming.
Yeah, I know. I got to start training. I got to go. I see people doing laps in Aloha Beach Park. I got to go do that. But is there anything else about this flooding and the situation that you want to share? Any other stories that you think is important for us to know? How can we support?
I'm honestly just like really proud to have worked alongside so many of the people that I did, not just the boys and the tractors and doing the initial rescues and everything, but especially all the ladies, Hioli, Jamaica, people that are coming from other jobs and things and just giving their time, all the girls at the hubs, Nicole, the team of group girls that she had brought with her. Just all those kinds of things I think are examples of how community cohesion like uplifts one another, and hopefully this is something that can continue or is already happening in all these other communities. Unfortunately, just whether we have transplants living in communities or just neighbors that dislike each other, there's been probably a lot of broken relationships on things that don't have that cohesion. But I don't even know if this makes sense, but when we have a disaster like this and people coming together, showing that unity is what will bring us out, hopefully this inspires these other communities to kind of like push aside those differences that you guys have and figure out how we can work together to ensure, like, from a prevention standpoint, that, okay, like, I see that this is happening with the weather. Like, hey, do you guys need help cutting your tree down before it falls on our house and your house or something like that? Like, those kinds of things. Just being aware of one another and just working together. I hope that's like the message to get back out.
Totally. I think it's evident too. And we might not know like the nuances or like the interpersonal relationships of people. Like, maybe you see people working together. Maybe they were enemies. Maybe they didn't like each other because they lived on one side and this guy did something to this person, but it didn't matter during the times. I think when we talked with Hank Rogers, he's the guy with Blue Startups. I don't know if you know him, but basically he's the guy who got like the rights for the Tetris video game. He does a lot of like environmental work. I think he was saying on his podcast a couple of years ago, early on, he's like, if the aliens came, all the colors, races, differences, ethnicities, all the things that kind of divide us sometimes, it's not going to matter because it's just going to be aliens versus humans. So I think these are examples of those times where it's just like, it don't matter what side of the island you're from, if you had beef with somebody, what color your skin is. In these times when something's happening, we put all that aside and just come together. And that's what's beautiful about it. I think it sucks that we need these disasters for us to come to these conclusions, but it is what it is. So again, mahalo to you and everybody for doing the hard work that some of us can't do or just aren't willing to do or unable to do because we're not here. So yeah, shout out to you guys. You guys are seriously real life superheroes. I say that kind of as a joke, but obviously I'm being serious. I actually do think you guys are real life superheroes. All right, so I want to know, I asked all of my guests the same question about keeping it aloha. And I know you are somebody that totally keeps it aloha. And it's evident in everything that you do. But I want to know from your own words, how do you keep it aloha?
I knew this question was coming, but, it's, to me, I tread lightly when I say this because there's some cool one that's gonna probably scold me or whatever, but it's really, aloha is your ano and your way of your existence and how you navigate your journey through life. And so for me, I try to, like, it's not something I wake up and I'm like, how am I gonna live aloha today? It's really just innately in you, like your genuine care for people. And that's how I feel like I genuinely care for my family, my community, aina, like the ocean, everything. So what am I going to do to contribute to the solution of making things better? rather than being negative or complaining about something. And that's kind of how I go about every day, is just, what am I going to do? How can I contribute to something better?
Yeah. I feel like aloha and keeping it aloha is just something, like I talk about it in my book, is like, it's just a mindset, it's a lifestyle. It's not something that you're like consciously doing. Like, I'm going to open this door for this grandma just because, like, I don't know, it's going to make me feel good and it's going to make me look good. It's like, it's just instinct, right? It's just like, oh, the door, you see them coming, you just do it. You're not thinking of anything else of like, how it's going to affect them, how it's going to affect me. You just do it. And I think that's what true aloha is.
I would say also that also comes with observation, and observation like beyond just here, because I think so much, especially in today's life, we're like just focused on ourselves and here rather than opening up and being like, oh yeah, kupuna, like she could barely get to the door, like let me go grab that for her. And oftentimes, like, unfortunately, we need to be told what to do. But if you start to just like open your perspective of like who you are and how you can assert yourself in a more positive way, I think it'll help. Yeah,
there's opportunities everywhere. I mean, you just got to look for it. Everybody needs help. Everybody wants to help. It's just you got to be put in those situations to be able to do that. So yeah, super cool. So we talk a lot about you helping out the community and all the millions of hats you're wearing. I do want to talk about one big accomplishment that, you know, happened for you when you got to participate in the Eddy. I think that's so cool. It's probably a local boy's dream if you grew up surfing. It's not my dream, I'll tell you that. The biggest wave I've seen was only in Waikiki during that remember that
big
crazy swell. And that was kind of when I was early on in surfing, and I went out and I saw that thing and I was like, this hits different. Like you see it on TV and you're like, that looks big, but like when you just even we're sitting here and like you see a wave just up to the ceiling, I'm like, how do they do it? Like now I since I started surfing, I would be at places and I would see buildings and I'd just be like, that building is the size of waves people ride. That's insane. Yeah. So it is insane to me. Like what Kai Lenny does.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. And like all those guys, Nate and you know, so many. I don't want to. I'm just not gonna name any names because there's too many people to name. So to be able to be part of the biggest big wave surfing event in the world, in history, huge honor. So like take me to that whole thing. And like, was it a dream of yours that you've thought about since you were young? I know you've always wanted to be a father. I've watched some of your Olukai stuff. You've always had a heart for like being part of this like community and helping out. But this is something that is like
a personal endeavor.
Personal thing that is like for you.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy for you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny. Like I'll even kind of bring back UH football. Like as a local boy, like a dream would be to play University of Hawaiʻi with Hawaii on your chest and your last name on your back. And that was a huge accomplishment for me. And then to make it to the Eddy, like how did I do this in one lifetime? But I ask myself that all the time, is like, how did I get here? And it just keeps bringing me back to that motivation, that consistency, that discipline, that determination of like people saying like, oh no, you'll never do it, or you can't do it, or whatever it is. And not that I listen to those kinds of things, but I always will ask myself, well, what steps do I need to take to do this? And for the Eddy, I was already a lifeguard, but before that, I had known Eddie's story growing up. It was just like a pipe dream, just like, oh, I want to surf in the Eddy one day. Like that would be super cool. Like initially, like I wanted to be the youngest to ever be invited to the Eddy, but that came and passed pretty quickly.
Well, I will say you might be the only former UH football player and big wave surfer.
Hopefully that'd be cool.
I don't think I know any other. You know a lot more surfers, but I don't think.
Yeah,
you might be the only one.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so really that kind of started with big wave surfing. To me is about your connection with the ocean, and just sharing that mana and that movement of the ocean. I've never thought of like surfing competitively as like a sport, because it is a cultural activity, and it's like church to me. You go and you're cleansed in the ocean, you respect it, you learn, it punishes you, you get back up, you ride a good wave. You're filled with all this joy and excitement and reward from that exhilarating ride. And so like working my way up from smaller waves to bigger and bigger and bigger. And I don't mean to disrespect anybody. Like everybody has their own version of a big wave. Like my version of a big wave might not be your version of a big wave. But with all due respect to everybody.
3 to 5. That's I'm good with that. 3 to 5.
I really enjoyed the internal battles that I have of pushing myself more, like gaining the confidence that it takes to commit to that. Because when you take off on a big wave, especially in that capacity, especially in the eddy, like it's all or nothing, and like beyond all or nothing. Like you have no margin for error at all, because not only is this like the biggest stage, but like you could die. Like this is life-threatening waves, and we are essentially looking to ride the biggest wave of the day. And I always had kind of had that mind frame, like in the free expression sessions that I have, or just like free surfs and stuff, is like, how do I get myself to this mind frame of like absolute commitment? Also like being safe, like knowing who's on my side and who else is paddling and what direction we're going and where the wave might land and all these kinds of things. So it's a calculated risk, and I enjoy that kind of like thought process and like adrenaline rush and like everything coming together for that one split moment to like take off on the wave and be successful. So that's like really driven me, and then taking me to the point of like I love Waimea Bay. That's my home. That's my sanctuary. I put all of my energy into surfing that wave. I'm not a pipeline surfer guy. Like I'll surf other waves and stuff, but like all my focus is at Waimea. It's a place that I honor and respect. I have different parts with the heiau above and below that we do ceremony at, and everything in the valley. So Waimea just holds such a special place in my heart as a whole, that I want to give it my all. And that's kind of how I've approached surfing the wave. And over the last couple of years, got recognized for that and my commitment to it. And so the first time that I got invited as an alternate, that I was the happiest, other than being a father, like in my life. Just like, I can't believe this is real. Like Uncle Clyde, my hero, is right here, and I'm standing with the best surfers in the world, and being recognized for my desire to surf this wave and do it to the best of my ability. And then over the next couple of years, move my way up the alternate list. And this last eddy that ran was the first. Oh no, I was an alternate actually. I was a number 2 alternate, and a couple people weren't able to show up for the eddy. And so the day before, I got the call that I'm going to be in, and that was pretty much right back to that first time getting invited feeling of just like all the butterflies and nerves and everything. But at the same time, I had put so much time into this place and this wave that I had the confidence, like I might not be the best surfer in the world, traveling around the world surfing all these waves, but I know this place, and this is where I'm gonna stand my ground and surf the wave to the best of my ability. And to have that opportunity and do it in competition, it just made all my dreams come true.
Yeah, and it's cool when the lifeguards get a chance, right? Like Luke went and won that one year, and that was a huge story.
Yep.
You got put up. You had the honorary entrance or something, right?
Yeah.
That's what they call it.
Yeah.
You rode on the back of the
quad, yeah.
The quad. Yeah, that's such a cool moment. So moving forward, you can talk about your other personal goals as well, but I'm guessing that being a do they call it starter or just like a
Invitee?
Invitee
Yeah.
Invitee in the eddy is definitely up there.
Yes.
Winning is
Yeah.
definitely up there. You're a competitive guy. You play sports. You got to be competitive, right? So that's definitely up there. Are there any other personal goals that you have?
At the moment, no. I just want to see other people around me be successful. I'm never the kind of person like tear somebody down so I can be better than them. So even similar to say like winning the Eddie, I am competitive. More probably competitive when it comes to team sports, and we can have a ball and move it around and be competitive like that. But surfing for me, because it is a cultural activity, like winning the Eddie to me, like I would want that position to be recognized, because like they say Eddie chooses the winner. And if I'm chosen from Eddie to be the winner, I never got a chance to meet him. And that would essentially be the closest I get to meeting Eddie in my mind, of being recognized, of being right there with that ability and his love and pursuit of surfing Waimea with his passion. I would share that in that moment, and that would be special to me. Like, I'm not trying to surf against the other surfers necessarily. Like, it's a big wave competition. You catch the biggest wave and you win.
Yeah.
And if Eddie sends you the biggest wave and you get it and you win, then that's kind of a simplified version of how I see it.
Wow. I don't know, Joey. I have a good feeling you're going to be invited and you will win one day.
Thank
I
you.
have a feeling. I just feel like you do so much good in this world, and it's bound to come back to you. And if you're anything like me, which I'm sure you are, you don't do it because you're expecting things in return.
Yeah.
But when something good happens in return, it like affirms you, like, that good thing I did was the right call.
Yeah.
You know, it was the right thing I did.
Yeah.
I feel like you will be rewarded one day. Maybe it's steady, maybe it's something else. But I feel like you do too much good in the world that there's no way you're not going to be rewarded in some way. So whatever your dream is, whatever that you're manifesting, dreaming, I feel like it's going to happen.
Thank you.
I have
Thank
a really
you.
good feeling about this.
I feel you on that. Thank you.
I say you're a Hama. All the North Shore lifeguards are Hamas. A lot of people in your life are Hamas. We actually met before this podcast, just to talk
catch
stories
up,
for a little bit. You mentioned the real Hama was your wife. And I know throughout all of these things going on and all the community things you're involved with, as I watch more of these superhero shows, I see that the wife is always the one, the girlfriend, the partner is always just the one kind of holding it down and having to deal with the superheroes going off to save the world.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to give you some time to talk about your wife, if you want to share anything about her.
Yeah.
Give her flowers.
Well, she's quite private. And
Oh yeah. This social security number, first and last name, but mainly just say nice things about her.
Yeah,
You don't gotta
I mean,
talk too much about her, but
just
say nice things.
at least as far as like Instagram, she's not the type of person to be as out there as I am. So she really holds it down in the household, especially throughout the floods. Like, all I wanted that would make me feel good about going out and doing whatever I needed to do was knowing that her and the girls were safe at home and that they were taken care of. And that isn't just my wife, it's her mom, her family, my mom, my dad, like coming to contribute to making sure that all happened, our cousins and everything, and other family friends. So just the family support that I have in general is amazing. But she's really more of the rock probably than I am because I get expended and pulled in so many different directions that sometimes it takes me coming home to her to kind of either let her know what's going on or not even talk about things, that she just will kind of like reset me and just make me just like, no, we're still right here. Like nothing's happening. We're all good. And that just like, for me, that's really what I need to keep pushing as hard as I do, is just knowing that her and the girls are safe and the roof is over their heads. And yeah, she's just always been super encouraging. I know it is difficult for her because like we haven't spent that much time, especially just alone time for quite a while. But she's proud of what I'm doing, and I'm proud of what she does. And we just have a good open relationship that allows us to both help our communities in different ways.
You know what I want to do on this podcast? Is I want to pay for a date night for you and your wife. Can I do that?
Let me ask her.
Date at some point, whatever it is, whether that's just going out to dinner, grabbing some drinks or whatever. I want to pay for it.
Okay.
If you would let me, bless you.
Thank you.
I just feel like I want to do something for you guys.
Thank you.
So your favorite spot or whatever. It's a business expense, so don't make like I'm doing this nice thing. It's a tax write-off.
Thank you.
I'm not doing it out of the goodness of my heart. So don't think that, okay? Don't think I'm a good person. But I do want to do that. If you guys are talk to her after this and feel like whatever it is, an event, you guys want to do an escape room or something. I don't know, some like whatever. Think of something.
Maybe we could do something together.
That's even awesome. I'd love that. Yeah. I mentioned escape room because I've been wanting to do an escape room.
That's what it sounds like.
But yeah, okay, talk to her, and yeah, we could do something with Faith. Even if you guys want to rip Pokemon cards, let's rip some Pokemon cards. But yeah, I would love to do that. Treat you guys to something.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So shout out to you and the Wahine at home. All right, so we're coming to the back end of the podcast, and we're gonna start to wrap up. But I want to know, what is something you wish people knew about you that they don't?
Maybe people recognize that I smile a lot and I'm super smiley and everything. And I'd say it's more of a nervous smile of just trying to like look like I'm cruising. But probably a lot of times I'm way more uncomfortable than it appears to be. I'm honestly a really shy person. I do, like, as of late, like, speak on my social media and whatever interviews and things like this, if I need to. But like, if I don't, then I just keep to myself, and I'll share things how I need to. But I'm honestly a pretty shy and private person. So my circle is pretty small, I would say. I don't have too much.
I could tell that from what I've seen is like you're doing this on a need to speak basis, need to show up basis. But most, local boys and especially surfers, they're private people.
Yeah.
So I knew that. And so even more respect for you, awamuing that kuleana and like being uncomfortable doing this, just another level of respect that I have for you, Joey.
Thank you.
Okay, before I let you go, I gotta know, what is your life hack? Were you able to think of one, and can you share that with us?
Yeah, it came out not really as a hack, but more of kind of like a thought that I always laugh in the back of my head, and it just happened last night. How does it go? Sorry. Okay.
Is it a quote or something?
Yeah, kind of. I'm probably gonna get it wrong, but
Sorry, paraphrase.
It's basically you never know how important you might be until you spend the night with a mosquito. What was it again?
I can look it up too.
Yeah, something
we have the internet.
Something along the lines of like, basically, you never know how big. Jeez,
no,
it's something that I always think of.
You never
but like,
know how big. What is something I could Google?
It's in accordance with a mosquito.
Okay.
Basically, like, you spend a night with a mosquito, and you never know how irritating. Like, you think the mosquito is so tiny, but it irritates you all night, buzzing your ear, hitting you, and sucking your blood in different areas and making you itchy. And like, I reference that to like people thinking like, oh, my ideas don't matter, or my thoughts and visions are too small, so I'm not going to stand up and speak out or anything like that. So I guess in accordance or along the lines of that is like a mosquito is like the metaphor for getting you to be more out there, step outside of your comfort zone or your bubble, and show that tiny little voice inside of you, that little buzzing, you can make a difference.
Yeah. So this is you're pretty much on par with that. It says, if you think you are too small to make a difference, you haven't spent the night with a mosquito.
That's what it was.
Is a famous proverb that originated from West Africa, famously shared by the Dalai Lama as a way to inspire people. I never heard that. That's really cool. Yeah. So it's like used to highlight even the smallest, most insignificant seeming entities can have massive, undeniable impact. I know that because I lived in Madagascar for 3 years, and anytime I heard the bzzz, oh man, I'd get up and I would look for that
shining
thing
your
and
light,
like,
just looking around.
oh yeah, phone flashlight, and I will not go to sleep. And we had mosquito nets over there too, but like, oh, that buzzing, it's PTSD for me. Anytime I hear it, just like it's like a dog that just like jumps up when they smell something or whatever. Yeah, but that's a good one. Yeah, you never. If you think you're too small, you've never spent a night with a mosquito. That's a good one. I've never heard that before. And I know a lot of quotes. So thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right. So we're coming to the end of the podcast. We'll get you out of here, out into the outdoor worlds where you prefer. But have you ever ripped a Pokemon card before?
A long
Pokemon
time
packs?
ago.
Yeah, growing up with it.
I did, yeah.
Yeah. So, I got into it recently, and now at the end of every podcast, we rip a pack. And before I do that, I forgot I have to get a secret word or phrase from you, because every episode we do a giveaway, and people can message or email my assistant Nicole at keepitlow.com the phrase or secret word so that they can get extra entries.
Okay.
So can you think of one that you can share with us, with the audience?
Yeah.
What is it?
Malama.
Malama. Okay, so you guys don't got to worry about the diacritical marks. You don't got to put a kako, but if you just type malama, which is like to care, to preserve, a lot of different definitions. Is there like a certain definition you want to share?
More just for one another, like a aloha ike kahi
Yeah,
kind of
take
thing.
care of one another, love one another. So malama, M-A-L-A-M-A. Very simple. Okay, so email that to Nicole and how you keep it aloha, and you get 10 extra entries into this crazy World Cup giveaway. All right, so basically how it works is you kind of make a pack. These rip pretty easily. You make a little puka at the top. Yeah, you rip like that top. Yeah, there you go. Very easy. Okay. I'm always confident you'd be able to do it. And in these modern sets, you just take out the back one like this. You can just put it onto the side. And then we like to guess the color of the energy, so I'll go with lightning, yellow. Okay, so it's fire, red. So you can just guess a color.
Green.
Okay, you got metal.
Nice.
All right.
I didn't even know there
and-
was metal now.
Yeah, so when we show it to the camera, we just hold it like this, and we take it off one by one like this. And then the first couple cards are just the common cards. It's cool artwork. And then the last couple, they're shiny. They're the holographics. And that's where the hits will be. So I didn't get anything. I got cooked. So hopefully you get more luck than me. All right. Oh, I think you got... Wait, do you got something in the back? Oh, keep going. Yeah. Let's see what you get. I think you might have something in the back there, if I'm seeing it right. Oh no, you got cooked too. We both got cooked. So basically, don't do nice things because you're never rewarded, guys.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or don't do it for this reason.
Yeah. But dang, I was hoping you got something, but maybe in the future you get something. You're looking for like the full art cards.
Okay.
But did you want to give this to your kids? Do you think they're like it, or you're like...
I think they're a little too young.
Okay. Maybe the oldest one.
Preschool, yeah. I mean, she would be stoked on the cards. Yeah.
Come by our next Keep It Low card show. We'll get you guys some packs.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's basically what it is. And make sure you guys come to our next Keep It Low card show June 5th at South at our Kakako from 2 to 9 p.m. It's going to be super fun. Is there anything else you want to share before we wrap up? If not, tell us where we can find you.
I would just like to encourage people to reach out to anybody that, if you still have time, there are people that still need help, not just on the North Shore, but in the other locations that we had mentioned. So whatever side of the island that you're on, if you want to reach out and kokua and kakoa in any way, that is still very much needed. Especially if you're a skilled laborer and have some free time and want to donate your time in that capacity, that's great. And other than that, I would encourage people we have community work days at our lo'i, Kalo'io Kamana Nui. And so that's with Lau Lau Solutions. If you want to follow Lau Lau Solutions, we post that we have our community work days every Wednesday. So especially heading into the summer is a great time for people, whether they're alone, want to bring friends, or even their family and kids. It's a great place to learn about lo'i kalo and continue to help with the restoration project that we have going on. I did do water and soil sample testing and have been able to ensure the safety of everybody.
Awesome.
So I make sure that everybody's safe in every way that I can. So
Totally. Yeah, I got to come out there one day and see what it's all about.
yeah,
Would have been cool if we did it at the lo'i, but
maybe next one.
yeah, maybe next one for sure. Sorry, one thing, because you said free time, and I was thinking, like, what do you even do in your free time when you even have free time?
I don't have free time.
If you had free time, in an ideal world, what would you be doing?
I'd say the only time that I make free time is if I know that Waimea is going to be 20 foot, like 40 foot faces. I'll work some things around that I can designate an hour or two to get out there. But that's my perfect free time world.
Dang, okay. What do you do? What do you like to eat? What's your like go-to snack, and like what's your go-to meal after a workout or after surfing?
Well, I'm gonna have to say Lau Lau, but
Okay. Besides
because
Lau Lau.
I can't always make it right on the spot. I'm a Pokeball guy.
Oh, okay. I'm just trying to get some info into how I can treat you guys. Okay. All right, I'll think about it after the podcast. But yeah, again, huge mahalo and respect for everything that you do, all the people around you. We are the product of our environment, and I know if you're this much aloha, this good, you have great people around you. So shout out to all those people as well.
Well, come on.
And where can we find you?
Instagram wise, or
Yeah. Or you can drop your address now.
you can follow at Joey Aloha _
One
And
underscore is fine.
Just one, yeah, just to
more
make me
than
different
that,
from.
we're teetering.
I don't even know who the other Joey Aloha is, but I had to do that. And Lau Lau Solutions, that's our specific to our lo'i kalo and the activities that we have going on there. So, yeah, you can find me there or anywhere on the North Shore. I'm sure you'll cross my path.
Yeah, if there's a disaster, if there's danger, if you're in trouble, Joey will be there. We need some sort of theme song for you, just like all the heroes. Anyways, mahalo, Joey, for coming on the podcast today. Make sure, I thought I had this memorized. I usually look at this. Yeah, mahalo, Joey, for joining us on the Keep It Low podcast. Spread love, be kind to one another, and mahalo for listening to us today. We have new episodes every Thursday, so make sure you follow us and leave a review. I'm your host, Kamaka, and remember to always keep it aloha.